Hello, everybody. Welcome to the TriStar Gym channel. Today's episode, I have a special guest, JF. JF's here to talk to me and talk to us all about the mass the the mass shooting. oop, Sorry, we had the mass shooting we had recently in Montreal. It was an incel ideology type thing, and JF is gonna clear the waters for us. He's gonna tell us all about it. JF, please introduce yourself.
All right, I'm Jean-François Gariépy. I'm a biologist. I've been getting a doctorate in neuroscience. I've been studying human behavior, psychology, and the brain mechanism behind it. And I moved out of the academia, became a media personality, and I have philosophical contributions in mostly three spheres: the importance of biology to human society, the importance of race, the influence of Israeli politics in America, and the red pill of masculinism and the problem of the modern female and her control over the political system and the effect that it has on the male population and the effect that it has on the dynamics of dating.
Okay, Jeff, kick us off, man. What's an incel? So I know what it is, but a lot of guys out there, they don't know. So let's start with the basics and then go deep into his manifesto and figure out what this kid did.
Yeah,
What
so
is an incel?
an incel is an involuntary celibate. It's someone that doesn't have a girlfriend, doesn't have a wife, and doesn't see any hope to get one. And there are societies in which there are almost no incels or very few. And there are societies where the incel layer becomes a majority. And I'm afraid that Western civilization has been in a transition in the last 60 years, switching from you can be a plumber and have a wife and have 2, 3 kids to if you're a plumber, you're not getting a wife, and or if you get one, it will be of very low quality, and she won't want to make 2 or 3 babies. She will only make one. So that's the incel range. And I would say for the youth, for the young people, the 20 to 25 years old, it's a majority of the male population because we're faced with a layer of males that were left behind. They have been facing a female population that is way too comfortable under the safety net of the state, that is neutralizing her desire to have babies and her financial dependence. So we have, with the liberation of women that has happened under feminism and the whole state system of welfare that goes with it, which also competes with the ability of males at the bottom of society to be providing for a female. Because at this point, if you're a plumber, you won't be offering any better to your wife than she would get under social welfare in an apartment paid for by the state with her babies potentially obtained from multiple baby daddies and paid for also by the federal government. So we have a phenomenon where the male at the bottom of society is no more capable of making it into the reproductive line, and that creates a lot of incel, and that is a recurring phenomena in history and something that is extremely bad omen for the future because it can cause not only individual violence the way we've seen in that shooting, but societal violence, disorganization, criminality, and war. Because classically, the surplus of male has always been sent to a front line to die.
Okay, Jeff. I'll tell you, a lot of the guys listening are MMA guys, okay? Young guys who are maybe struggling with being incel, whatnot. So if you could simplify everything you just said, I understood everything you said. I have a background in philosophy. I understand everything and I sympathize with a lot of what you said, okay? But basically, you're telling us, look, the top guys, the bourgeoisie, the top chads of the world are getting all the girls. The guys with all the money are piling up all the girls. They're turning our women into online sex industry foot soldiers, and they're taking all that resource, all the female resources. They're plucking your future wives, your future girlfriends, your future partners. They're sucking it all up and they're hugging it all for themselves. Is that what you're trying to say?
Exactly. There's an elite that wins in the world of incelism. So the elite are not the incels, they are elite males that are elite for various reasons. There are various domains of realization for male that will get them out of incelism. MMA is one of them. I'm a big fan of MMA. Throughout my studies in biology, I was spending my days on the MMA fight channel on Videotron. and watching GSP in the UCC days, ground and pound days of even then at the beginning in the UFC. Those were very great moments because to me, MMA, just like intellectual endeavors, like I'm an author with a special theory of biology that I gave birth to. Those are all domains of life where the male drive to creativity and to self-actualization into a greater version of himself have survived. But those domains are extremely rare. Either you can become wealthy, you can become a fighter in some competition or some sports, or you can become an intellectual and kind of win the zero-sum game that it is to be an alpha. But that game has way too much losers, way too many losers, and it's a game where there will be most people will be left behind and discarded. And this touches upon the model of dating that we are in right now is a female-controlled polygamous model of eugenics guided by females. So basically, females are telling us in their dating choice when they are free in Western civilization, they're telling us it's not worth it to keep the plumber reproducing. It's not worth it keeping the guy who makes $30,000 a year being a sous chef in some fast food restaurant. They don't want to reproduce these guys, at least the white female. Now, then we can talk about how it's different for immigrant populations. And that's exactly why immigrant populations are completely beating the white population in terms of reproductive rate, which is why they will dominate our nations eventually. But the female is driven by choice eugenics, which leads her to want to escalate the social world. And she
Jeff,
does this by...
explain to them what eugenics is, if you don't mind. A lot of people out there, they don't know that word. Just simplify a little.
Okay, I'll simplify. So eugenics is simply what you would do to change a life form, to change a species. That's what we've done to cows, pigs, and chicken. What did we do when we domesticated them? We selected them to produce more meat. And because of this, when you kill a cow today, a farmer gets a lot of meat. But if you had killed a wild cow, you wouldn't have gotten as much meat and as much fat. So that is through evolution. We can change what things look like, what things that are alive look like through natural selection and artificial selection. Eugenics is the idea that this is going on in our society right now. Females are making choices that are driving a direction for the male population. They want males to be in a certain way, and they want too hard to go for the alpha. The problem being that not everyone can be an alpha. Not everyone can be the champion of the UFC at any point in time. That's only one guy. Now, of course, we know that the guy who has the belt, he's going to breed. And the people of the future will be a little more like him. But down the line, when you have a winner-only selection type of female decision-making in breeding, you end up with the problem that 80% of your male population or 90% of your male population is unfit to breed in that environment. And that leads to extreme waste of lives, extreme suffering, which was documented in the manifesto of this shooter in Montreal.
Okay, Jeff, it makes a total sense to me. What you're saying is like all the good-looking superstars, the basketball players, the movie stars, the politicians, the guys with inheriting tons of wealth, they're going to take all the girls because there's no rules in Western society. You can have as many women as you want. You can marry one woman, but you can have an infinite amount of girlfriends. There's nothing illegal about it. And you can get them all pregnant and walk away and do what you want. You could disappear into the night. She's got to chase you and try to get money from you or whatnot it may be. There's not a limit to how many women you can have. These giga chads, they're going to take them all. Okay. But look, it's also a little bit, it's also a little bit hard for me to believe this kid who did this crazy, unbelievable, unthinkable act. He was 25 years old. He was a good looking kid.
Yeah.
He is a white male in Canada. At 25 years old, he thinks the situation is dire. This is a sinking ship. I think he's totally, I mean, he's totally nuts, for what he did. But I mean, his pessimism is extreme. It's a negative spiral. Like, for instance, you're giving us this scenario we're in, okay? But you're also making me feel like there's no solution. Like these kids are maybe hearing you talk and they're thinking, oh my God, he's right. We're cornered in every way and there's no way out and we're doomed. This kid, he must have had those kind of thoughts, right? Because I read his manifesto. I read only 37 pages. That's all I can find. I got to tell you, the last footnote in the 37 pages, he's saying that his group in the West is the most marginalized. He's saying not the gays, not the blacks, not any other group. We are the most discarded, unsupported, ignored demographic in the West. The young male. He's 25 years old. He has his whole life ahead of him. He could have found a girl eventually in his life. I understand it's difficult. I get it. The dating apps, it's only guys who are 6 feet tall with a check mark. Show me you have like a fancy car, or else I won't swipe. I get it. I get that. But you and me both know, if he was patient and worked on himself and dug deep and worked hard, he would have found a nice girl that would have changed his life and he could have had kids with her. The chances were not at zero. And they were not like, if he was persistent, if he had grit, if he worked on it, if he was more driven for success, as opposed to throwing his arms up and grabbing a gun and climbing up on a building. Okay. The kid was super smart. I read his manifesto. The kid's intelligent. He's very intelligent. Okay. Now, emotional intelligence, 0. Social intelligence, 0. Academic intelligence, I'm talking about academic intelligence. He's a very intelligent guy. He was a very well written paper. Maybe he used AI, maybe he didn't, but still, nonetheless, these are well thought out ideas. But he lacks in virtue. He has no courage. He has no grit. He has no wisdom. Academically, the kid's very intelligent, way above average. But if he's so intelligent, why couldn't he? I think he's a lack of courage, because he had to work on himself, dig in deep, find that right girl for him out there. She's not statistically impossible. Like, what could have been his solution? Like, what is the solution to this type of a problem that we're living in the West?
Those are excellent observations. I agree. I've seen his face a little bit because we saw a picture of him once he was on the ground. This was a guy who probably at various moments of my life, he was more beautiful than me, because I tend to gain weight. Right now I'm on a diet, so I'm happy that I'm losing weight. But there are times in my life where I was more ugly than this guy, yet I have 6 children and I've had 200 girlfriends. So it's possible. He could have done it. However, it's an aspect of incel ideology that it is fully subscribing to the black pill. The ideology is that way, and maybe wrongfully, maybe they're wrong, but that is what they say. So if he's been on these forums that truly are the pure incel ideologies, the dogma in this is you have no chance. It's not going to happen. You're not going to get picked. And to give him credit to his side, because I think that the case you make is very good. He could have improved a couple of things. He could have subscribed to a jiu-jitsu class, go do a PhD, do something that marks him as somewhat successful with whatever he had, because he was in good health, could have done some sport and built some muscle. He was very intelligent, could have done intellectual endeavors. He could have been a winner. However, we live in a society that is extremely dismissive of male cognition of his type. And I would suspect he had some sort of autism, maybe the kind of autism that geniuses have. So perhaps not super good at the interpersonal level. Perhaps being constantly reminded by women, you don't look at me in the eyes. The way women reminded me that all my life. You don't look at me enough in the eye. You don't pay enough attention. You sound weird. You sound bizarre with your IDs. So he felt unfit in this world, being constantly reminded by female cognition, because we live in a form of female imperialism, basically in an empire built by females. This guy probably got processed through the public school, where he would have only elementary school teachers that are females or that are effeminate males raised in universities and raised to leftist ideology. So first and foremost, you get the first part of your life is full exposure to complete female condescension. And for a man of a high IQ, it's very painful, because it's like you feel like there's monkeys around you who are all more stupid than you, and yet they condescend toward you and they try to teach you stuff. That's probably how he felt. And let's not forget also that there is base for despair for the young man, even if he has talents, because we live in a world that completely denies fathers' rights, that empowers female with full control of children, full control of the welfare stream of money through children checks that the federal government is doing. And When you start dating, you are never sure, even once she is pregnant, you're never sure that she's going to stay around. You're never sure that she's not going to be making false allegations against you and run away with the babies. So a young man who looks at this and who sees my society is unable to be honoring my rights. It's not even treating me equal when it goes around and keeps bragging about treating everyone equal. It's everyone that's treated equal except me, because there's no one, no political project right now to fix family courts, to fix child protective services, which are anti-male institutions that go after male who have done nothing wrong. So yes, there is a basis for despair that is greater than just the question of can you build muscles and do you look okay?
Well, I mean, you said a lot there. A kid could have worked on himself. He could have built muscle for sure. He could have got more educated in fitness. That would have helped his case. He's a good-looking kid. I look up a total picture of him. He could have been fixed up. He could have learned how to socialize. I think it's very important to socialize kids when they're young. I think, look, I'm come from a serious martial arts background. I'll tell you, martial arts saves so many of these young kids. I've trained thousands of men with total huge problems. I'm talking about like heavy ADD, total social anxiety. Martial arts teaches you how to tackle all your demons. Okay, he would. I mean, I'm not saying it's the cure all, but it's definitely a part. Because look, huge element of martial arts is you get to socialize. We're bumping elbows to the head. We're punching each other. We're wrestling. We're choking each other. You have to have a trust, a camaraderie. Camaraderie. We hang out together every day. We train together every day. We compete against other teams, etc. There's a lot of positive in martial arts. A lot. Like this kid could have been saved by just having that experience. It's such an incredible experience because he would have seen other guys in the same boat as him, and he would have got his taste of success. He would have got his taste of growing as a person. When you change belt, it's such an incredible feeling, etc. You improve as a person. He must have felt really stuck. He must have felt like he has no options. But here's the thing. This is what boggles my mind. He could have saved up a few $100s and went and got himself a prostitute. Like, if you're going to go nuclear, wait a second, take a step back a second. If you're such an incel, you're so involuntarily celibate and you want to have a good time, like, okay, it's not, I don't recommend it to anybody. I don't recommend this to anybody. If you were like, oh, I'm going to go nuclear, wait a second. There's a much easier option. Like, wouldn't that have like quenched his thirst just a little bit? It wouldn't it have like settled his mind a little bit? He would have got a little bit more experience with women. Maybe it would have got him out of his shell. I mean, at the end of the day, like if I was so desperate, so miserable, so lonely, I'm not saying I would ever do it, okay? But I'm just saying, if in his shoes, he lives in a country, man, where, by the way, he could have flew down south and had unlimited amount of girls. There's places in down south where you can go, and for a very small amount of money, Canadian dollars, you can have the most beautiful Latin girls. You can have the most funnest time. I mean, why didn't he choose that option? Let's say he was so desperate. Make me understand what's going on in this kid's head.
Well, the problem that you propose, there's a big problem with prostitution as a solution, which is prostitution is an exploitation of males. And it's an exploitation of their desire for intimacy, which is unsatisfied. So to him, that wouldn't have been a solution, because the reason we have sex is to breed, to make babies. And the prostitute specifically takes your money like a wife, but doesn't give you the babies back. So to me, it's exploitation of males. And often prostitution is framed as exploitation of females. I believe it's a complete inversion. And from his perspective, it was just a delusion that you would engage in if you went to prostitution, because prostitution doesn't give you the babies. It just teases you. And it doesn't give you the actual love that he was looking for. This was a big-hearted man. And many shootings these days actually occur from over-empathic concerns. There are a lot of leftist shooting and communist shootings and trans shootings that I've seen in the last 2 years, where basically these people have too much empathy. This guy didn't want to fix the solution just for himself. He thought that he was on a mission to save society. He didn't want just to have sex. That's easy. Yes, as you point out, you get a prostitute. But he wasn't happy with this, because just sex is a lie too. It's also a lie of
he's
exploitation.
25 years old. He's not looking to have kids. Don't tell me at 25 years old, this guy in the West, he's looking to have kids. He doesn't want to be celibate anymore. He wants to be sexually active.
No,
You go down south, you save up some money, you work for a year, you save up some money, you spend the summer in a Latin American place. I won't say the name. You go to Thailand, you go wherever, and it's unlimited. It's cheap. I'm not saying I would do it. I don't recommend it. You're gonna come back with the disease or whatever. Okay, but it's probably not life threatening what you're gonna get, whatever it is. Okay, if you're smart about it, you can try to avoid it. Okay, I don't recommend it. I'm just saying before I would go nuclear option. This is at least the path I would go if I was really losing my mind. And I feel like you're talking about love and emotions. That comes later in a man's life. He's 25 years old, for goodness sake. I'm 46 years old. My wife asks me about my emotion. I tell her I only have feeling in one place in my body. There's only one place in my body I have feeling, and I tell her to focus on that. I redirect her attention to that the endeavor. I don't talk to my wife about my feelings and this and that. This is like a bleeding heart. Like, I want to be loved. You're a 25-year-old man. It's the attitude. The attitude has to change, because this whole incel black pill thing, I find, is like, it's number one thing. It's an attitude problem. They have the wrong attitude. These young kids, it's a wrong attitude. You can go out in the world and get your piece of the pie one way or another without doing it maliciously, or lie, cheat, steal, the weak. You could do it with hard work, dedication, focus on your goal. If he put his mind to it, he could have found himself a girl. And if he was so involuntary celibate, we're talking about chump change to fix that problem. It's not expensive for a Westerner who was going to work. He would work 1 year of his life. He could have had the summer of his life, sexually speaking. And now you're telling me it's about emotions. Dude, that maybe would come later. After he slept with 50, 100 women, he might start feeling shallow and empty inside. And, where does it go? But by then, he's going to be a different human being. He's going to know so much more about women.
Having read his text, I must say that he's different from you. I mean, I get it. There is a cold approach to love and non-romanticism. There's lots of people who are like this. I can be like that at times, but this guy was a deep romantic. He truly wanted true love.
Wait, what makes you say that? Please, I didn't read the other pages. I read 37 pages, and I could barely like I wasn't that interested. Like, I get his ideas. I've heard these ideas before. I totally get what he's trying to say. Okay, but what makes you think he's a romantic love at heart? This is very like he needs a big brother or a male father figure or something. This guy.
Because he talks about intimacy, and the way he does, he is extremely shocked emotionally at seeing the suffering of other males who are faced with women who don't love them enough. So he was already seeing himself through the comments on Reddit of other males who were talking about how they have problems getting loved by their woman. And this was causing his empathic sense to be triggered. So yes, he was a romantic, and he would have wanted just one wife and just love. And that's something very hard to get for the low parts of the male population these days.
I'm starting to understand why he had women trouble. He was a handsome guy, but his attitude is not the right. Jeff, it's not the right way. I think if you have this attitude with women, they will eat you alive and destroy you. Like, this doesn't exist. Okay, like, I come from the Middle East. We have a different attitude. We have a whole different attitude, Like, I met my wife. My wife is Quebecoise. Okay, I love my wife. Me and her, we're super close. We have a great relationship. Amazing. But I used to tell my wife, look, I want a wife like this. If you could live within this parameter that I like, you could be my wife. We could be married. If you're outside this parameter, you know what I tell my wife? I'm not joking. 100% honest. Okay, I tell my wife, if you want to break up with me, you want to divorce me, and you don't want to talk, you just want a clean break, write a text, done. That's your nuclear. You write me a text, done. I won't call you. I won't pursue you. I expect your stuff to be out of the house or whatnot. I understand the contract is broken. I always leave the door open. I leave the door open. You know why? But I used to tell my wife when she was, I met her, I engaged her very young. Okay. I married her very young, and then I married her legally in Canada a little bit later. But I married her young, like, in terms of religiously speaking. I married her young. Okay, she's young. She's an adult. She was 18 when I engaged her, and I married her very soon after. Okay, she's very young. I told my wife, the second you want out, nobody's holding here. Just text me, done. Or if you want to break up face to face or by email, it's your choice, no problem. But I used to tell my wife this: if you leave, don't be surprised next week there's another girl in the house. Don't be surprised. I moved on already. I'm not going to cry about it. I'm not going to tear. Because here's the thing. I'll be honest with you. I think, look, humans have feelings. Yes, I understand that. Okay. But look, men should be taught from a young age to control their feelings. If you talk about your feelings and your emotions too much, these girls are going to walk out on you. Okay. There's a time and place. I'm not saying a man has to be a robot. You don't want to go completely heartless. No. But a man should suffer quietly. If you're scared, if you're tired, if you're in danger, don't show it. Never show it. Like, I've been through horrible heartaches. Look, when I was going through COVID, my business, I have a gym business, everything was shut down, everything was out of pocket. My wife never knew our finance. If you ask my wife, how much money does your husband make? She has no idea. She has no idea what was happening when we were going nearing bankruptcy. 2 years, my gym is closed. Everything is closed. We can't go to the fights. I couldn't even train professional fighters. I used to have 60 professional fighters. They closed the border. The whole ship is sinking. She has no idea. No idea. Now, look, I don't think it's wrong to talk to your wife about these things. I don't think she should know, look, finances are not good. But in my mind, I'm finding a new way, a third way, a fifth way. And you know what? I got myself out of trouble. And I saved the situation. Of course, the gym reopened, things went back. And I always told myself, I'm going to survive or I'm going to die trying. Like, this is the attitude every man should have. And I feel like these young guys, they're kind of like maybe raised in an environment where that backbone is not instilled in you from a young age. And it's really important to have that, because that's what attracts females, by the way. That's what attracts females. Like me, my sons, I tell them, do you like a masculine woman or a feminine woman? They tell me feminine. I said, okay, a woman's going to like a masculine male. Don't do anything feminine, ever. Okay, maybe as a joke, you can have a sense of humor, okay, or whatever. I'm not against sense of humor. However, a man has to have certain attributes. And one of the two most important attributes is you protect and you provide, okay? Me, I don't eat unless my family ate. I don't spend $1 on myself unless my family's fully like taken care of. Okay. So I will tell you, like, these young kids, like I'm reading his writings. He's too much in his head, this kid. He's too much. He thinks he's understood the world. The more intelligent you are, the more humble you have to be. If he's so intelligent, go start a business. If you understand the world so well, he has no humility, this kid, I find. He has no humility in his head. He's super intelligent, but he doesn't realize how little he knows. If you're so intelligent, go out in the world and show me you're intelligent. The world will tell you, you're really smart. You solved this problem. You're very valuable to us. Let us pay you for your product or service that you brought to the world.
That is extremely wise, and I'm astonished by the wisdom here. And that is not surprising in a way, because you're one of my hero in terms of your contribution to MMA and to the GSP days, man. I have the greatest respect for your contribution. But what you lay out here is exactly the right behavior. But this is not what young men today are learning. The psychologists, females, and the experts in special education in elementary schools, and the teachers themselves, they all teach a very female psychology, to young men included. And a lot of them would react to what you just said as showing that this is toxic masculinity, because you just told people to hide their emotion. What will a psychologist female tell you? She will tell you, no, you have to express everything. What will a wife often ask of you if she doesn't know that she wants a male? She will ask you to be more open, to be more sensitive, to be more displaying of your inner thought. That is the current state of how young men will be raised up to 18 years old, with no one telling them what exactly you just said. They will never hear that. They will not be in contact with their father, who has been taken out by family court. They will be stuck with females throughout the public school, with whom they will spend 8 hours a day, and they'll barely see their own mom at the end of the night before they go to sleep. So we have a problem that, yes, males are being misdirected toward living a female psychology. Yes, this idealistic romanticism will mess your life. It will destroy you, and it destroyed this guy.
Yeah, and I totally see that, because, there's a lot of divorce, less marriages, more divorce. So the kids end up growing up with their mother. They don't have a male father figure. A lot of what we see in Western TV, the father's like dumb in the TV show, and the movies, the father's like a sidekick character. He's goofy, happy wife, happy life type attitude. It's drilled in your head, and there's a lot of like female heroes emerging. I remember when I was a kid, we used to watch Disney movies. It was always some kind of guy rescuing the princess. Now the princess, she's the forefront. Disney's changed 180, right? The princess is the hero. She goes on the adventure. She beats the bad guy. She saves herself. She doesn't need a man. I remember one time I was watching Moana. My daughter used to watch Moana all the time, but I never paid attention to the movie. Now my daughter's very young, okay? And I'm sitting with my mom on the couch watching it, and I'm translating to my mom what's happening in the movie, okay? My mom's from Lebanon. She's from the old country. She has an old mentality. You have to understand, like, she has a grade 6 education, and the Civil War broke. a few years after she finished school, and she came to Canada and her life started. Okay, she's not like woke to Western like Hollywood, you know. And I'm telling her, I'm watching the movie and I'm watching it with my daughter. I see my daughter's watching this movie 5 times a day. And Moana is a story about a girl who's forbidden by her father to go past the reef. Don't go past the reef, he tells her. Like there's a certain amount of space, like freedom she has, but don't go past the reef. Then she goes and she consults with her grandmother, and her grandmother tells her go. So she disobeys her father, swims past the reef, has a huge adventure, and saves the world. I translate this to my mom. I say, you see that? My daughter's watching a movie where the girl actively disobeys her father. What do you think of this? My mother turns to me and she said, oh, in real life, she would go and she would drown and die. You know, of course, it was a joke. We're all laughing about it, but they're putting so much aspiration in these girls. Take control. You're the forefront. You're the hero. You don't need anybody. You're the best. And it's kind of wedged a divide between man and woman. Like the amount of dysfunction we have in the West in terms of love and relationship. Because I will tell you, I'm 46 now. Almost all my friends are divorced. Almost all of them. And it's heartbreaking and it's difficult. And I get it, because here's the thing. It's really heartbreaking because of the children. It's very difficult, like to break up the family of kids who are very young. Like I've had friends, they just had a baby and they're getting divorced. They just had the baby, you know, like give that kid a chance to feel the love of a family, the unity, the shelter, the security of having a family. I feel that's lost. That's really lost. And you need fathers. You need fathers. You know, I'll tell you something. In America, the poorest demographic, okay, is the Black community. 52% of the Black community don't know who their father is. 52%. After that, it's the Latinos. I forget what the exact metric is, but it's like 45% don't know who their father is. When there's no father in the house, I'll tell you, Jeff, I would have been a lunatic if it wasn't for my father. For sure, I would be in jail, 100%. Because I'll tell you something, I was always scared of my father. My mother couldn't control me. I was bigger than her, stronger than her. She could tell me what she wants. I respect my mom. I love my mom, but she cannot physically stop me. From a young age, my father, when he said something, I would do it immediately, because if I didn't do it, there would be a repercussion. It would be a serious repercussion. If my dad came home and it was bedtime, I would race and pretend to be sleeping. Like I had a healthy respect and fear of my father. And anytime I got in trouble, I made sure I never got back to his ears, because I respected the man. I understood like it was a disgrace to do something bad. And I'll tell you something, I'm born Muslim, okay? We were taught don't lie, don't cheat, don't steal, no matter what. There's a value, there's a principle, there's a respect for our religion. We never do these things. And if I didn't have that, if I didn't have my father, if I didn't have these early ideas that they put in my head, I would have for sure gotten myself in a lot of trouble. I would have, a young man with no supervision who wants to make money, because we were poor. When we were young, we were poor. He needs to make money. I'll tell you something. The most dangerous demographic in the world is young men with no money. I don't care what race, what religion, what color, what young men with no money, they're going to break the law. They're going to go for the gold. They're going to take the risk, because for them, what else is there? Live here in poverty? So I totally understand young men need to be fathered. And look, I'm in the martial arts business. I see a lot of young men who didn't have a good role model, and that's where they're coming in the martial arts to clean up their lives. You know, I see that oftentimes. I've seen guys do a 180 with their life, really seriously. Like I'm talking about serious criminals, change their entire life, be really good, hardworking, dedicated martial artists and people.
Absolutely. I think it can heal a lot. To have this pursuit of excellence in any domain can heal a lot. I come from a different family. I'm from a white family of kind of liberal thinking Christians, which is much less authoritarian at the dad level. And I think it's also necessary to our style of living. Like I couldn't be like your dad to my children. I have a form of authority, but it is much more subtle and it leaves much more space. That's what I wish to inculcate in the next generation. But it does lead to massive problems. I think it's one of the big problems of white populations in Western civilization. Too much liberalism, and especially too much liberalism toward females. The legend that you said, your mom said in the real life, the girl would have died. That makes me think about a moment of my life that people are currently commenting on the regular chat. They say I killed my ex. It's not true, but my ex did run away from the family, and my ex did apparently die. So yes,
I'm sorry to hear that. I
liberalism.
didn't know, by the way. All my comments were
Yeah,
not, that was not like a dig at you at all. I honestly have
yeah,
no,
no, no
I
problem at all.
apologize for that. If
No
you,
problem at all. Don't apologize. It's something I had to live with the fact that the female pursuit of hedonism in modern times does put them in grave dangers, and their refusal to follow a minimum amount. And as a liberal guy, I give, at least temperamentally liberal, I'm conservative politically, but as a liberal guy, I leave a lot of space to my wives. But if she leaves and she goes away on the streets, then she exposed herself to dangers. And yes, many of them died. I see news item every week about females dying because they weren't properly supervised by a male.
yeah, but the Quebecois were more conservative. I mean, not long ago, maybe 50, 60 years ago, I remember looking up the birth rate. It was like six children. And my wife's grandmother was super ultra conservative, and she had 5 children, and she's like more Arab than the Arabs, like she was like really always, traditional housewife, etc. Like it hasn't been long, Quebec, the sexual revolution. When would you say 1960, 1950? Maybe it started the cracklings, but 60, and it kind of like it swept the, I would say, the whole nation, of course. And overnight, it seems overnight we have like this broken family, because now maybe the birth rate in Canada is 1.2, 1.4 max. It might fluctuate a little bit. The family unit is broken. The family unit is dysfunctional. People are getting married less and getting divorced more. But I would tell you that there's nothing more special, man. There's nothing more special, because I don't think anybody would ever have a successful family and say, I would trade it for a movie career. I would trade it for this amount of money. No, 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 no. If you have a successful family unit, you wouldn't trade it for anything in the world, because it's the ultimate experience, So, but what does it cost to have that? Well, it costs, people have to have some kind of virtue, loyalty. It's all the basic laws. Don't lie, don't cheat, don't steal, don't commit adultery, don't. Also, I would tell you, these young men, what they need to do. These young men, because they're aspiring to have a wife, etc. The number one thing they need to do is don't consume porn. If you see a girl online and she's dressed sexy, unfollow. Unfollow all these girls. You know what? I'll tell you something. When I see a girl on the street all dressed all sexy, I don't even look at her. She thinks when I look at her, oh, I got this guy. He's just another drooler all over me. He's gonna ask me for Instagram. He's gonna want to follow me. No, 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 thank you. No, thank you. When I see you, you're cheap. No, thanks. I wouldn't want to mess with this at all. No, thank you. If men had that attitude collectively, if there was a new culture sweeping Quebec or Canada or the West slightly, men who refuse to, because here's the thing, OnlyFans is making money. Why? Because guys are pushing that button. Guys are pushing that credit card button, that payment, that this and that. You got to starve them out by not consuming it. Then all of a sudden they're going to start, hey, what do we need to do to get attention from these guys? Well, because here's the thing. I blame men for all this. All due respect, Jeff, I blame men. Let me tell you why. If you don't mind me saying, I don't want to go too much on a tangent
Go
here.
ahead.
Men reward women for promiscuity.
Yes.
Men go on their knees for women if she's sexy. You gave her so much value, so much power. See, in Islamic thinking, it's completely different. Okay, completely different. And if you don't mind us sharing worldviews, I know we come from opposite worldviews. Okay, in Islam, you know what they tell us? Paradise is at your mother's feet. The mother's foot, the mother's feet. You know what I mean? Like, be at your mother's foot. Be good to your mother. She carried you. She bore you. She fed you. You can never pay her back. My kids, they see me spoil my wife. You know what I tell them? She carried all 3 of you. She paused their education when I asked her to. I spoil my wife. If you see me and my wife, you'd be like, oh, you're not hard on your wife. I'm not hard on my wife at all. I'm super encouraging. My wife has a very good job. She makes money. She does super well. I love my wife. I treat her like gold. I'll give her anything she wants. Anything she wants, I give it to her. But only because I feel she's done so well. Mm-hmm. She had our children first. She continued her education. She was doing her master's and asked her to pause it because our youngest daughter was crying every time the babysitter came. She would have a fit. And I said, look, you need to be home. When she's done, growing up, she doesn't need you so much, then you could go back to do your master's. I'll pay for it. No problem. My wife did it. And I know she bit the bullet. I know she wanted to finish that master's. Like, she's a very driven person. She paused for the family. Like, these kind of virtues, if you find yourself a woman like this, man, they're very rare. But the thing is also, you have to expect that if you bow down to these women who are acting all sexy and all that, you're encouraging the others to do it. Me, when I see a sexy girl on the street, she's dressed inappropriately, I don't even look at her. I don't even look at her. She's gonna feel embarrassed. That girl, men are giving those women the power. Those guys have to get on the forum. These guys, instead of being incels, they got to come up with a better name that, hey, we don't like promiscuous women. We bar them. We're going to bring women. You know what I tell my sons? Look, one day when it's time to get married, maybe you find the girl here. Maybe I take you to another country. But we're going to find a nice conservative girl. We're going to bring her back. We're going to find a nice conservative girl. And we're not going to stop. I don't care if I have to get off this planet to find her. Like, that's the kind of mind you have to, that's the kind of mind you got to have, you know? And I understand what I'm saying is obviously it's exaggerated, but what I'm trying to tell you is these women, men are empowering them in the wrong direction, because the woman is going to follow the man. If men don't consume, if men, you know, in African culture, in Arabic culture, in Indian culture, in Russian culture, if a girl, maybe not everywhere in Russia, but certain villages, you dress promiscuously, we don't look at you. Like, if you go to Thailand, yeah, you go in Bangkok. I go to Thailand. I went to Thailand many times. Okay, in Bangkok, yeah, they dress sexy in the touristic area. In a village, man, if you dress sexy, they all boycott you. You are out. You're excommunicated from the community. You're a humiliation to your father. You're a humiliation to your family. It's not unwise. These cultures are not dumb.
You're absolutely correct. These conservative culture, conservative socially, they have understood something, and you describe it extremely well. We cannot keep feeding bad behavior in females, and yet we are. Western civilization is the crux of rewarding promiscuity. Now, a woman in her 20s who's kind of beautiful is faced with the choice between becoming a millionaire from just OnlyFans pictures or having a husband who will maybe make 50,000, 60,000 a year. That becomes a very hard choice. And this is connected to incelism. There's another group that we call the beta simps. Those are the people paying for this whole economy of exploitation. And the problem is you have a whole contingent of males that is much wider than the 20 to 25-year-old female. It's up to 50-year-old males who will pay for the OnlyFans of the 20 to 25 years old. But what they don't realize is you're messing up society. You're messing up this female. You're messing up stuff even for other guys who could have had this female to reproduce. So it's a big mess that we've created with the Just Liberty. Just Liberty that was taken by denying the technologies that have been discovered and used across human civilizations for millions of years, which is some degree of shaming of promiscuous behavior and some degree of acceptance that, yes, the goal of life is reproduction and all of the rest is sexual exploitation, and we don't want it. It's not healthy. It's not healthy for the people buying it.
Do you know the name Gregory Pincus?
No.
He invented the pill.
Which pill?
The
birth pill?
Birth pill. Yes, the birth pill. What do you call it? So you don't get pregnant. Contraceptive pill. Yeah.
Yes.
Gregory Pincus. Every time I hear his name, I have to spit on the floor. Why? This guy is what changed the dynamic. This guy is one of the most influential men in history. He changed the dynamic between men and women. Women now can have sex and not worry about getting pregnant. Like, he empowered them to no end. Like, the sexual revolution had a lot to do with Gregory Pincus. He gave them a magic pill that they can act like men now. And you know, men, we're getting a taste of our own medicine because men have, not treated women so good either. But in this respect, I think instead of being incels, which I don't like this kind of, I find it's such a defeatist movement. It's like saying we lost. I hate that. I hate men or young men or collective thinking where there's no solution. We lost. We're super pessimistic. Everything is stacked against us. We can't win. I hate this kind of thinking. I call it defeatism. You know, you already quit before trying. I'd rather die trying. This is the ironically, if they had adopted this kind of attitude, and I'm not talking, when I say die trying, I'm not talking about anything violent at all. I'm saying, like, we're going to pursue our goals through intelligent manner, not using violence, not blaming any other group. I don't blame any other group. I don't blame. Everybody's playing the same game. Everybody wants to get on top. Everybody, you know what? This guy, I forget his name. I don't even want to say his name. The mass shooter. If he was a Giga Chad, he would probably want to take as many women as he can as well, and he wouldn't talk about love. He wouldn't be talking about love. That's why I find it a little bit ridiculous. Because if you had unlimited women, you wouldn't want to love any of them. Now that you don't have any, you see how scarce they are, how precious they are. Now their value in your mind is skyrocketed. Mm-hmm. That's why, look, I'm not saying I'm not pro prostitution at all, but I'm just saying that if he had slept with, let's say, 50 women, let's say he paid for it over a summer, he would have kind of like, he would have demystified what a woman is in his mind. It wouldn't have been such a big deal. Okay. Because you know what, JF, the hungriest guy thinks about food 24 hours a day. The guy who's like, the guy who served food 24 hours, you know, he works at a buffet. He's not into it. He's had this dish a million times, and he's onto other things, you know, post-nut clarity. I try to explain to my wife what post-nut clarity is, you know, like I tell her after I've done with you, I tell this to my wife, Jeff. I tell my wife, you don't take anything I say during lovemaking for real. Anything I say, any promise I made you, anything I offered you, I was in a state of madness. But after, that's the real me. After that's you wanna ask me if we're going where we're, that's the real me, because I have a mind shift. And she, you know, like I try to explain to her how a man's mind works. Because my wife, she's very young. I used to teach my wife from when she was young. All men are pigs. All men want to take advantage of you. 100%. And she used to ask me, what about you? I used to say, some people say I'm the pig. You know, like the model pig. Don't think your husband's any better. I tell you, I'm not any better than all of them. Don't worry about it. I'm not telling you I'm good and they're all bad. No, all men. Look, I think men is the most dangerous thing on the face of the earth. I'm scared of men. Like if I walk into a room and there's 50 men, I'm scared. If there's 50 women, I'm not scared. I don't feel threatened. Women psychologically over time, yeah, they could be dangerous, sure. Yes. But that's because of men. That's because of men. You know, I tell my wife, Jeff, you're not going to like this, okay? A lot of people are not going to like this. I tell my wife, look, if I was crazy and I wanted to attack you, you would have to call the police and they'd have to send a man to protect you from me. That's what I tell my wife. I said, men call the shots. Like it or not, girls, like it or not. If you all got together and said, we're taking over this planet, you couldn't do it. You couldn't do it because you know what? It's women and children first. And there's a reason why it's women and children first. Jeff, one time I asked her a question. If we're on the Titanic and it's sinking, I gave her a thought experiment. You know, I have a philosophy background. I love philosophy. Okay. If the ship is sinking and there's one seat left and there's a woman and me, who gets the seat? She's like, oh, it's all equal. You know, like she's got this leftist upbringing. I'm like, no, it's not equal. It's not equal. She gets the seat. And I started giving her reasons why. You know, number one, she could be carrying a baby. We don't know. She might not even know. Mm-hmm. That's 2 lives. And 2, if I end up to safety, and they're going to be like, you left a woman behind, you coward. I'm going to live with the shame. Society's going to shame me. Like it or not, society's going to shame me. If I put her on the boat and she survives and I swim through the sharks and I make it, I'm going to be a hero. And that's the man's life. It costs us more because we have to risk our lives every so often. But we get a special credit. We get a special honor. We get a special allure that men are not getting these days. Because, you know, I tell my wife, when we're sleeping in bed and we hear a strange sound, it's always the man that has to get up. Now we're not equal. Now all of a sudden, no, equality. I'll throw it out the window. Throw feminism out the window. When Russia invades Ukraine, no, there's no feminist. I never heard one feminist say, how dare you evacuate all the women? There's not one feminist that ever said, you know, when Russia invaded Ukraine, they evacuated. A lot of them came to Canada, right? A lot of Ukrainian women and children dispersed across the world. But not the men. Actually, it's illegal. If the men left, it would be 15 years in jail, if I recall correctly. 15 years in jail. Now, look, this is a reality man has to live with. If my country was being invaded, I wouldn't run away. I would send my kids and wife away, and I would fight to the last breath, okay? But that's the cost men have, and many feminists will agree to this. Many feminists will tell you, we're equal except in this regard. Like, for instance, when they gave women a vote, a lot of women in the West didn't want the vote because that would mean they could be drafted. Because you can't vote for a war. You're going to send me to war, but you don't have to fight. No. If you want to vote, you also fight. You can also fight. Now, this dynamic gives men a prestige, and it's a real prestige. Like it or not, I don't care if you're the biggest feminist in the world. If a man goes out to war and he wins and he comes back with the spoils, even the feminist is attracted to him. Even the feminist likes this guy.
Yeah, you're touching upon a very important point around male disposability because, yes, there's partly a legitimate reason why we're disposable, and you made it very clear. It's the fact that we already have our babies made, and potentially our females are pregnant at the moment we sacrifice. That is why males are sent to the front. Unfortunately, in modern times, the contract has been broken because first females are given equal control over politics, therefore they are effectively sending males to war. It used to be that whether a nation was going to war was a male decision. At this point, because our societies are controlled by votes, it is a female decision, and we enter here the point where, for example, in Ukraine, I believe that the Ukrainian males have been given a very bad deal in the sense that they are being sent to die at the front line, but they don't get anything in return. Ukraine is not a very stable society in terms of allowing males marriage, and the divorce rates are enormous, and the baby making isn't very high. There's lots of incelism, lots of alcoholism. So basically,
Actually,
it's
JF, before
society
before
rids
before the
itself.
war, it's the
Yeah.
one place where there's more women than men, actually.
Well,
And the women are
exactly.
beautiful. The women are beautiful in Ukraine, and it was one where it's disproportionate men to women. But now it's going to be even worse, right? If the war escalates, and I'm not giving any like side, I'm not siding with anybody on anybody. Like I'm very anti-war, but at the end of the day, if a lot of Ukrainians keep dying and the war prolongs, and who knows, I hope it ends, but it's going to make the situation even worse because the women are going to come back. There's going to be less men. There's going to be
Exactly.
less men than there was before. And already you have these beautiful women fighting for a scarce amount of men. And imagine what the situation is going to be like. The roles are going to be reversed. Because here's the thing. If half your men go to war, if your men go to war and half of them come back, you could still repopulate. It doesn't make sense to send women to war. If you send women to war, when you play chess, the most valuable piece on the chessboard is the king. After that, it's the queen. The chess players are not stupid. They're like, look, if we get your women, if one society is fighting another and we get your women, guess what? We're going to make babies with your women. And the next generation, you're going to be fighting your own DNA against you. We're going to use your own DNA against you. And let me tell you something, that's a story as old as time.
Yes.
Genghis Khan would go in, he would dominate, he would take the women, he would make more Mongols. Alexander the Great did it. They all did it. If we capture your women, you're done. But here's the thing: the Western women have, if you don't mind me saying, and I'm not saying this, I'm in the West too, guys. I'm a Westerner. I'm born here. Okay, I feel like our situation is not good. Why? Because men, when they want to party from around the world, they come and they party here. They party in Canada. They party in America. They party in Latin America. They come in here and they compete, and they use and abuse our women, and then they disappear. And maybe they get them pregnant, maybe they're not, but we don't play defense. We have no line in the sand. Hey, no, don't come here. Don't come to, like, if you go to Japan and you sleep with a Japanese girl and the society finds out, she's shunned. Like, she's really, like, she's not a good Japanese. Like, they don't like her. They're not happy with her. You go, during the FIFA World Cup in Qatar, JF, if you go to Qatar and you sleep with a Qatari girl, JF, you're going to be calling me, coach, get me out of this prison. You do 7 years, Jeff. You'll do 7 years. Why? Because a young, naive girl meets a handsome foreigner who says he loves her and he's going to take her to a far-off land, and he's just using her. Maybe he gets her pregnant, gives her a disease. He's gone. Some Qatari guy his wife is gone. Why? She had at a young age. She doesn't know what she's doing. She's getting sweet-talked, and she gets, taken advantage of. If you go to many places in the world, they don't let you walk in and just take their women. Like, when I would go to Thailand, I'd be very careful because if you go to a major city like Bangkok, you can do what you want. You go to Phuket, you could do whatever you want. They don't care. They've written those women off. But if you go into a village and you're a foreigner with lots of money, the guys will beat you up. They'll throw you out. That guy in the village, he wants to marry that girl and he loves her, and you're coming in here. Just, no, it doesn't fly. Believe me, they'll harm you. They'll push you out. They won't accept this. Many parts of the world are like that. But here it's like she wants to do whatever she wants, and we can't say anything. We can't even criticize her. We can't even say that, you know what, she's not, like, there's no repercussion. And how did the slippery slope get us here? That a girl could sleep with 10 men and it's okay. 20 men and it's like, where's the reprimand? Where's the, hey, wait a second, this is not good for society. It's not good for the collective, because we've become so self-centered. Hey, it's not good for the collective, but that's what I want. Okay, well, you know what? I think men, we gotta kind of wake up and learn to see that certain people in our society are costing the greater good. and without violence and without attacks, verbal attacks, just losing interest in that kind of person, just having a movement where young men are not attracted to these kind of girls, because at the end of the day, we're shooting ourselves in the foot, is what I'm trying to say. Young men's attitude, they see Cardi B on, I see the video of Cardi B and her filthy mouth, okay, dancing, and she has this music video, WAP. I'm sure you've heard it, okay?
Yes.
It has a gazillion views, a billion views. I watched it just because I was culturally enamored. I'm curious. I see it all over line, like, what is it? But I'm telling you, I watched it once. I was grossed out. I was like, this woman is trash. This woman, to me, she's trash. I wouldn't pay, if you told me, hey, we'll give you $100,000 to watch that video again, I would say, no, thank you. I don't want to see it again. I don't want to hear it. I don't want to see it. This is trash. I don't want that in my psyche. I don't want this in my psyche. Now, it's not because I'm prude, guys. Please, Jeff, my favorite activity is sex. I'm not prude at all. I'm not prude at all. It's the fact that this woman is a disease to society. I see her like that, and I would tell her to her face. And if I'm just telling you, I think she's a harm to society. I care about my society. I care about the people. I think the young men are being harmed, but also it's because the young men are consuming it. You got to learn to say no. No porn, no women, no dancers, no this. I don't want any of them. And they will as quickly as it slid down, it'll go back up.
Absolutely. We need to punish promiscuity. We need to punish greed and the desire of women to escalate the social world, because what you described, them having sex with millionaire tourists to drop them. Yes, we have to relearn the management of females to preserve them for our society. I had a guy in my audience who's been traveling in Asian countries, and when he picked up girls, the family of this girl, the cousin males, they were coming in to beat him up or to get him in trouble with the police. So yes, we have to treat women as treasures of biology, but not leaving them the full liberty of pursuing their greed, because that is societally destructive. And I don't think Western civilization can survive in the current state. Now, the good news, the white pill, is that there are evolutionary consequences to the bad decisions of women and men today, which will fix themselves in the near future, over 100 years. Each of these women who are causing divorces, destroying families, each of these women who are spending their most fertile years being sluts, all of them produce less babies. They produce one baby, they divorce, no more babies up to the time of their death. And that means that they are slowly disappearing from the world. And I think that what we will see reappear within 100 years, and it might not be in the white population, but at least it will come from immigrant populations, and it will spread itself throughout society. We will see reappear the tradition of young marriage at 18 years old, 20 years old, and together forever, because that's the only way you can multiply above 2.1, which is the replacement rate. If you're troubled, if you live on the street, if you take drugs, if you engage in prostitution, you generally will not have a family of 5 or 6 babies. And yet that's what determines the future evolutionarily.
Yeah, if you look at the Romans, it happened to the Romans, right? They were super promiscuous. Not the females, but the males. The males were very dominant. They would have sex. They engaged in all man on man, man on woman, and then they became super conservative Christians. Like the pendulum swings. Why? Because we get, if you live a heathenistic lifestyle, there is a dead end. It is a dead end. If you live it for too long, you start feeling empty inside. You start feeling lost. Like another girl isn't going to make me happy. You start seeing all women as bad. And look, then they start developing virtues. I love Greek philosophy, Greek thought. I studied a lot of Greek philosophy. I majored in philosophy, and the virtue. Once we lose virtues, respect, loyalty, honor, the pursuit of virtue, courage. Once we lose these things, guys, let me tell you something. The society is going, civilizations commit suicide. They're rarely ever murdered. Okay. They commit suicide. Why? Once you lose virtue, everybody's value goes down. People start jumping ship. Everybody goes their own way. And with all due respect, I think liberalism is very dangerous. You say you could come from a liberal Christian family. Well, I'll tell you something. Here's the problem with liberalism, if you don't mind me saying. Okay, I don't think John Locke designed liberalism to be what it is today. I think if you saw liberalism what it is today, he'd flip out. He'd do a backflip.
Yes,
he would do a backflip. He didn't mean it to be this wild and crazy. Liberalism, in short, for people who don't know, okay, it's basically This simple. The heart of liberalism is do what makes you happy, but don't harm others. Now, there's a lot more to liberalism than that. There's a lot more. Okay, there's political views, etc. But liberalism is look, your liberties end where my pain starts. Like when you encroach on me, that's where it ends. Like do what you want, don't harm others, no harm principle. Okay. Here's the thing: when you pursue your liberties, you pursue your freedoms. What happens? Your son wants to be a vegan. Your wife, she's doing yoga in the park. You're into science and technology. Your other kid is he's following some other way of life. There's nothing that holds you together. You're a French white Quebecois, and you have more in common with me than you do with your other Quebecois compatriots. Well, we share a common thread. We've maybe come to the same realizations, and we have some common threads. What happened to the society? Well, if everybody is putting themselves first and society, family takes a backseat, why do they call it the nuclear family? That's the nucleus of civilization. You made yourself the most important thing in the world. You made your pursuit of happiness. Well, you know what? Being selfish is not a virtue. There's a reason why it's not on the list of virtues. When you're self-centered, selfish, and you pursue your own interest, you're going to find yourself very lonely. Very lonely. It's a dead end, guys. Liberalism, with all due respect, there's a lot of good, there's a lot of beauty, and I think the idea is quite romantic and beautiful. Yes. However, taken too far, like most ideologies, taken too far, it's a dead end. You cannot put yourself first. Now, I'll tell you something. I come from a Muslim background, and I'll tell you the definition of love in Islam. Okay, I'll tell you the definition of love, the way we're taught. We're taught you only love somebody when you care for them more than you care about yourself. Now, you could take that also too far. I could see a relationship where the guy's like really mistreating the woman, and the woman's like, oh, well, I care about him only. He's my. No, we also have reciprocity. It has to be also the other way around. I care more about my wife than I care about myself, and she cares more about me than she cares about herself. There's also reciprocity that's very important. Okay, we can't forget the second element. But at the end of the day, if you want to find happiness, okay, in my opinion, don't chase after it. And it's very similar to women. The more you chase women, the more they elude you. These incels, I think they need to be kind of redirected in a new way of thinking, because at the end of the day, their situation will never change until they change the way they're thinking. If they change the way they're thinking, man, believe me, how many times have we seen a civilization or a movement grow from the smallest group to the weakest group? Now they're controlling a certain society or a certain empire, etc. You know, like we've seen so many civilizations, so many biographies where the guy is a nothing, he's a nobody, he's discarded, and he makes it big. Now, I know you're going to tell me, oh, those are few and far between. Nonetheless, there's also many stories where, okay, the guy doesn't hit a home run, but he still does very well for himself.
Absolutely. I think we are in a period of shock. We've given too much liberty too quick. And if we had released it over 1,000 years, maybe people would have had a chance to adapt. But it turns out that if you go from a religious conservative society, my grandparents' generation had 7 to 12 babies per family. And all of a sudden, in one generation, you give full liberty to everyone. Turns out the genes aren't ready, the brain isn't ready, and the biology hasn't evolved to handle that liberty. So you see the mess that a unprepared liberty gives. I think that it will self-correct with evolution, thankfully, but unfortunately we'll have to live through hundreds of years, potentially, of suffering.
Well, I mean, I feel like there's going to be a reaction. The society is going to react. I think right now they're on their knees for women, and they're not going to look. Think about it. If the tables were turned, if women were on their knees for a certain bad behavior we were doing, we would keep going. Look, think about women. Okay, there was a time where women wouldn't sleep with you until you married her and bought a house. No joke. You need a dowry. You need money. Let me tell you something, Jeff. I swear to you, I have a daughter. Okay, she will never get married until I have a dowry. And she will never marry a guy I disapprove of. Me and her mother were gonna. If we say we don't like the guy, that guy's done. I teach my daughter this from she's young, because let me tell you something. When a girl is in love, she can't see no wrong in the guy. Mm-hmm. He's handsome to her. Everything he does is correct. He has a bright future. Sure, maybe he does. Maybe he doesn't. Maybe I know better than you. Us, we have a trust. Like my daughter trusts me because I spend time with her. I educate her. And let me tell you something. I know you have daughters. From a young age, teach your daughters and sons, with all due respect, if I can give you everybody some advice, Teach them how to pick a good partner. That's such a huge part of life. Having a good partner. You have to teach men, my sons, I teach them how to pick a good woman. And I teach my daughter how to pick a good man from a very young age. From a very, very young age. Because if you pick a great partner, that's half your happiness right there. I mean, that's half of life. Like you're winning at life. You're doing really, really well. Okay, because this is a huge part of life. Like I know guys who got married and after 1 year they're getting divorced. Like you did a poor job of selection, man. You really did a really poor job. You don't know the difference between a good partner and a really bad partner. You didn't see the red flags. You don't understand the dynamics that are going on here. You know, and I teach my daughter from a young age. I ask her all the time. Would you marry a guy if I don't like him? Never, Papa. I make her pinky swear. I make her swear. I make her take a little pinky and tell me. She gives an oath. When my daughter wants to buy something, she's young. She's very. I want to buy this, Daddy. I say, sure, as long as you marry the guy I choose for you. Yes, Papa. She'll give me the pinky swear. She'll take that oath again. I bribe her. I even bribe her. Now, of course, there's a lot of joking around and laughing, and we kind of kid around about it. And I know in my daughter, in her heart of hearts, my sons in their heart of hearts, if me and my wife we don't like this partner, that person is gone. Like I'll tell you something. My wife. My parents love her, man. If my parents told me don't marry her, I wouldn't marry her. Why? I respect the family. Like we have to go back to this. We're marrying somebody, we're bringing somebody into the whole family. It has to be good for everybody. We have to start thinking in the collective, not an unbelievable amount, but to a certain amount. Like there was a time where women, they wouldn't sleep with any man. Okay, have you noticed, Jeff, when women don't like each other, the first thing they do is they call each other slut, whore, bitch, cunt, you're easy. The first thing they do is they attack her chastity.
Yes.
Women are worse than men. When it comes to two women don't like each other, try to notice this, okay? Two women don't like each other, the first slur is this girl's easy. She's cheap. She'll sleep with anybody. She has no integrity. Well, there was a time where women, they had a Lilliput strategy. If any girl sleeps with a man, we'll kick her out because she's bringing down the whole group. Because of course, now the women are, I call it a race to the bottom. If you take out a girl, if you're a Chad, if you're gonna get Chad, you take out a girl and she wants you to wait 3-4 dates before you could sleep with her. Well, I'll go out with this girl over here because she's ready to sleep with me on the first date. Well, you know what? I have this other girl. Not only will she sleep with me on the first date, she'll do this and that sexually. She'll let me film it. She'll let me talk about it. Like the more they go down, the more they get the giga chat. So the women are lowering themselves, like you said, they're lowering themselves so low that these giga chats, these superstar guys, like it's harmful to the women as well. Like I know this incel guy, he was talking about how harmful it is to them. It's also harmful to the women. The only winners is the top men with assets, beauty, money, fame, prestige, etc.
And arguably, even they don't get the full experience of attachment precisely because they have too much to offer. So that was argued in the manifesto that even the Giga Chad has it a little worse because he doesn't get to respect rarity in the female sex because he gets too much of it. You said something important about daddy and mommy know better. That is an aspect in almost all other societies, but we've given this up in Western civilization. We've given full power to an 18-year-old to decide whatever she wants, and we have not respected the wisdom of parents who probably know better about the social world, about the risks, and who can identify better the good candidates for their daughter. Absolutely, we should bring back some of this. I do believe in individual liberty, but it needs to be guided by good information. And I've been interested at seeing these girls who end up on OnlyFans and in porn, and their parents are extra liberal to a degree that is unbelievable. They often support them in this process, and they even encourage it.
I saw that Bonnie Blue chick documentary. Oh
Yes.
my goodness. First thing, the thing that shocked me the most is she's being interviewed after the act. After she slept with, for those of you who don't know, a lot of my viewers probably don't know, okay? Like she slept with 100 men in one day. Now you got to understand, like I'm watching at this because I want to see where society is going. And she's rubbing her eyes at the end of the event, okay? And the documentary is like, "Are you okay? What's wrong with your eyes?" She's like, Well, I tell them not to, but sometimes it goes in my eye. And he's like, aren't you afraid of sexually transmitted infections? She's like, you can get it that way? She didn't know. She didn't know she can get a sexually transmitted infection or disease or whatever you want to call it, STD, STI, by exchanging bodily fluids and some fluid going in her eye. She didn't know that. Like, for me, that's insanity. Her parents didn't educate her about STI. Her parents are losers to me. They're the scum of the earth. I'll tell you why. Her parents were talking to her the night before how proud they are of her. Of course, they're probably monetizing. She's probably paying their house. They're probably like, there's such low. To me, they're the scum of the earth.
Yes.
They're putting their daughter's psychology. Let me tell you something. That girl has got some psychological issues. That girl right now, she's not doing well. By the way, at the end of the event, she started crying. She had a breakdown on camera.
Yes.
Do you think it didn't get worse? Do you think she didn't go out in the world after and she didn't feel like, guys, nobody's going to love her. Nobody's going to get close to her. Only the lowest guy, the guy at the bottom of the barrel is going to be able to want to spend time with her. Any guy's going to be humiliated because, meet my significant other. We type her name in the internet. We see that she is the most promiscuous woman that ever existed. Like, she's going to be, like it or not, in the most Western, in the most open-minded, in the most liberal, she will be looked down upon. And her parents encouraged her. And the other thing that shocked me is they were walking down in the streets of England and they were interviewing strangers. And they told one stranger, tomorrow she's going to sleep with 100 men. And it was an older woman, like a woman in her 70s. You know what the older woman in her 70s said? Oh, really? Oh, you should get to bed early then. You should get to bed early, dear. Like, are you guys kidding me, man? Are you guys kidding me? At least she'd be appalled. Oh, that's indecent. What are you saying? That's wrong. Like, I wouldn't have the guts to tell an old lady, hey, this chick tomorrow, 100 guys are gonna have sex with her. I would be ashamed to talk to a stranger like that. Like people have no more integrity, no more self-respect. It's all sex. Here's the thing: sex is not that important. It's only important to the people who don't get it and they're fascinated on TV. They're fascinated on the internet. Because after you've had sex, the last thing you want is more sex. When you've had enough sex in your life, the last thing you want is sex. Like, immediately after sex, I want to eat, I want to sleep, I want to watch a movie, I want to do anything but have sex.
Mm-hmm.
If you have sex regularly, you're not so obsessed with it. They're marketing it to these young kids who don't have sex. So in their mind, it's the greatest event. And don't get me wrong, it's my favorite activity. I'm not saying it's bad, but they're overly obsessed with it because they're starved to death. They're starved. And this woman is a byproduct of this industry. She's probably making millions, which is sad to see, making millions, doing these kind of stunts, destroying her life, her health, and society's applauding her. Some societies, they would do the complete opposite of that. That would be considered highly illegal, punishable in the most severe way. Many societies across the world. And they know better. There's a reason why thou shalt not commit adultery. Men would go to war, come back, their wives are pregnant. No, we're not going to war again. We're not going on another campaign. No, we guarantee you your wives will not sleep with other men while you're on a campaign. It all comes down to survival. Every rule, almost every single rule comes down. Many of the core rules comes down to civilization's survival. The champions of history were the Muslims, the Christians, the secularists. Well, the secularists copied a lot of the rules from the Christians and Muslims. The Buddhists, the Confucianism, that spreads. Like, there's a lot of successful civilizations, and they weren't crazy. Their rules were not crazy. We have to reverse engineer them, see why did they live this way. It wasn't because they were dumb. There's a reason why. Listen, the centerpiece of Christianity was the Virgin Mary. She's wearing a veil. She's holding her baby. She loves the baby. The baby is really important. You took that centerpiece out and you put Cardi B. That's what happened. That's what happened in Western society. Maybe this is too much of an exaggeration, but that's really what happened. We put Cardi B as now she's so popular. The young girls all want to be like her. And tomorrow you're going to have a female president. It's going to get even worse. Every woman is going to have aspiration to be a hero, a superstar. Now, look, I'm very for women's education. Very, very much so. I think educated society is going to outcompete others. I love education. I'm a very big lover of education. However, not at the cost of children. We have to teach our young women. I want my daughter to have 3-4 kids, then get as educated as she wants. Must get the husband's got to be educated. I won't marry my daughter to a guy who's not educated. Personally, I wouldn't do that. I don't think there's anything wrong with that, but I want my family to be a generations of scholars after scholar after scholar. And I want my daughters, my granddaughters to all have children. Why? I want us to survive. I want my family name to continue. Some people don't care about their family name. Some people don't care. I have one fighter who's like, I'm not gonna have any kids. I'm like, really? Generation after generation of everybody had a child except you. You're the one who's gonna end the line. You're that selfish. It's all about you because you're not gonna continue the family name. No, not gonna continue your family name. No, that's it. What kind of attitude is that?
Absolutely. Existence is owed to our ancestors. And when we decide not to have babies, we break a contract. We have been given the chance of existence, but we don't send it forward. We have to abandon all conceptions of sex that are not related to baby making and call this out as this is all teasing. Porn, even sex with a condom or sex with birth pills, this is all teasing. And very key what you said. Yes, get an indication, but get it after making your babies if you're a woman. Because if we don't compress the generational length, if we wait for a woman to be 35 to get one baby, that does not maintain civilization. It's too slow and it's not enough exponential growth.
Yeah, I totally agree. So look, I want to kind of end this like on a positive note, and I want to take some questions from the fans as well. I think that'll be fun. But here's the thing, like, what's the positive we can take from this? I know the mass shooting was horrible. I see like my kids, they talk my kids, my students, they talk a lot about the word incel. I never heard the word incel till maybe like a year ago. It's kind of like, for me, it's like I get it. I get the idea. And I worry about these young men. It's right. The pool is getting thinner. They're having trouble finding women. Now look, MMA guys are not any better with women. They find women, but they can't keep them. A lot of them can't keep it. Okay. Trust me when I tell you, yes, it gets them in the door. It gets them in the door. They're strong. But I have to groom them and teach them and educate them how to have a relationship. A relationship is another level. It's the next chapter. It's not always easy. They don't navigate it well, because I'll tell you something. Those women, there's other superstar giga chads out there. So look, even the giga chads, they have their struggles. I'll tell you, they have their struggles. But I think ultimately speaking, we need a shift in culture. Sex industry has to die a slow death. Not because sex is bad, but because you're letting women have too much power over men, and women don't like weak men. JF, call me a liar. Call me sexist, but I'll tell you something. Here's what I call the death blow argument. I was like, whenever I have a subject, I always try to find the death blow. One, you can't argue. You can't argue against this argument. And I will tell you this: find me the best-selling erotic novels. The star of the show, he's never a guy who talks about his feelings. He's never a guy who does his nails. He's never a guy who's in touch with his feminine side. He's never a guy who cross-dresses. He's always an action-packed guy, alpha male, who she has to soften. And I tell them, look, why do you think these women are getting off on this book? Women, you were telling me, what would a psychologist tell you? She would tell you that you're being toxic or whatever. I'll tell her, look, I'm reading the books. The money they spend tells me... The money they spend tells me what they want. Am I right? She's Absolutely. Probably going to tell me, oh, no, that's just a fantasy. Yeah, exactly. I'd rather be their fantasy. I'd rather be their fantasy than the second guy they're going to settle down with, because she's had her fantasy with all these other guys. And now I'm getting her when her looks have faded and there's a new wave of young girls, and these giga chads are on to the next wave. So like, what I'm saying is this, like, you can't blame women to want what they want. Men, look, I tell men, you're equally as selfish. You like a sexy girl. You like a sexy girl. But here's the thing. Me, I don't care how sexy a girl is. I'll never compromise my values. And that's what we have to go back to. We have to teach these young kids, if you compromise your values, you will suffer. I tell my kids, you either suffer now or you suffer later. Which one do you want? I'd rather suffer now and live big later. If I compromise my values now, I'm going to have some fun. I'm going to go online and quench my thirst. But young men, by the way, they grew up on porn. Impotence. That's a scary word. That's a scary, scary word. I warn my kids, you don't want that. That's pleasure now, no pleasure later. Resist it. Suffer now. And here's the other thing. One is impotence. And two, you satisfy yourself digitally, watching women digitally, and then you don't have that desire to solve your problem. You don't have that push. When you look at prison escapes. Jeff, I'm fascinated with prison escapes because you have a below average IQ population. Now there's a lot of smart criminals, but you know me and you, the petty criminals, the smash and grab guys, they're dumb as hell. Okay. They're below 100 and that's how they make their living. They have to smash and grab. They can't think of anything. Okay. Those guys, if you put them in a cell long enough, they think of the most ingenious ways to escape. And I ask myself, where did this genius come from? Oh, pain and suffering, man. Pain. You put in a guy in a situation where he's suffering every day. He's going to become an Einstein. He's going to figure out a way to slip through these bars. If you don't satisfy your urges digitally, those urges are going to build. And I always say pain is a teacher. Yeah, it's painful, man. It's painful, but resist it. And let me tell you something. Those urges will turn into some kind of genius, some kind of creative thinking that you're going to find a way to solve this urge, this problem physically. Like nothing illegal, of course, but you're going to find a way to improve yourself, learn how to socialize. It's going to push you to move. People move away from pain or they move towards pleasure. Okay? But the second you satisfy yourself digitally, you're taking away the pain, you're taking the pill, you're numbing yourself, and that kills your creativity and your drive to become a genius, a creative. Even if you have genius, even for a moment, you're going to have a flash of an incredible idea. And guess what? That problem will resolve. Like you can resolve your problem. Like if I was this kid, you put me in his shoes, I definitely wouldn't do what he did. But if I was at the end of my rope, man, go down south, solve your problem there. You're going to have a whole new perspective about women. He was 25 years old, probably a virgin, right? He's an incel. I'm assuming he's a virgin.
Mm-hmm. Probably.
Inexperienced, he was too confident about his answer about the world. The more you learn, the more questions you have, the more humble you should be, the more you should understand there's more to know. And let me tell you something, women are not evil. I don't believe women are evil. I think that's the biggest lie we tell ourselves. It's the most, it's such an, it takes away the mind, the power of a man to say the problem is her. No, the problem is not her, man. I'll tell you something. The problem is not her. We teach people how they treat us. That's what I tell my kids. That's what I believe. I teach people how they treat me. If somebody disrespects me, well, I let them disrespect me. I put myself in a situation of disrespect. I behaved in a way. I'm going to change my behavior ultimately so it doesn't happen again. I think we have to foster that in the young kids.
I've seen some evil women. I'm not saying all, but yeah, I like what you say about suffering because that reminds me of when I wrote my book, The Revolutionary Phenotype. It was a moment of my life extremely down. I had to work 2 years to get this out. No income, suffering, not much food, always poor, almost on the street to just birth it. And yes, it led to a book that imbues this suffering and that is very creative and very unique. And yes, sometimes you do have to go through the
it was a book on what exactly? Can you say that again? I missed that.
So The Revolutionary Phenotype, the amazing story of how life begins and how it ends. This is a warning to humanity that we are about to cause a phenotypic revolution. We are about to have our genetics and our evolution controlled by AI. And we should not do this. We should preserve a biological existence independent of what machines want to make of us, because we're about to be domesticated by AI.
Mm-hmm. So you really fear AI?
Absolutely. I wrote this in 2018. AI didn't even exist.
Wow. You're going to have to send me a copy of that book. I'd like to read it.
Absolutely.
I also saw you have another book coming out, Cooking for White People. What is it again?
Yes, White People Food. That is coming out in September.
Can we brownies eat your...
Absolutely.
Oh, yeah, we can cook
It's a guide for brown people to be able to cook like white people.
Okay, I'm gonna buy myself a copy, that's for sure. That's really, really cool. Listen, do you have a little time to answer questions from the audience?
Absolutely. We can answer them.
Cool. All right, guys, let's have you guys fire away your questions. It's going to take a minute because there's a little bit of a lag, but we're going to get a bunch of questions because...
I see that John had sent a super chat. He said, respect to both of these great men who have accomplished great things. Thanks for the show tonight, Coach.
All right, man, that's great. Now give us your comments and questions. And hopefully, this incel ideology, I hope they have a more empowering solution, a more positive solution to their issue. What else we got here?
I have a question. What do
Go
you
ahead.
think would happen with McGregor Holloway?
You know what? That's a really good matchup. I would tell you, I think I'm picking Holloway because it's 5 rounds, but McGregor is obviously on a lot of steroids. He's on a lot of gear. Okay. He's jacked. It's a weight class up. So McGregor's got a lot of power already, one weight class up. So the first round and a half, 2 rounds, I think McGregor's going to be ultra dangerous, super dangerous. But the thing is, when you're over muscular like that, sometimes it can fatigue you. So, and also he hasn't fought in many years. But look, McGregor is an incredible counterpuncher. He's got the reach, he's got the experience, he's got the toughness, he's got the confidence and all that. I like him in the early rounds. I like Max in the later rounds. Max has only been finished once in his career. So for that reason, I'm going to go with Max. I give it like a 51% to 49% in the favor of Max Holloway. I think we have a super chat here. Let's pop it up. Any update on the moral signal, JF?
The Moral Signal will be my second biology book, but I've taken a pause of the writing to write white people food first. So it's not in the short term that I will release this. We're talking maybe 2-3 years down the line from here.
Next, we have Coach. What are your thoughts on female hypergamy? 80% of women going for 20%, according to multiple studies. That's from Benny. Benny, like I said, man, I think there needs to be a cultural shift. The reason why women go for the giga chads and all that and all this is because men like us, we I don't want to say we shouldn't disrespect women who sleep around with a lot of men, but we shouldn't value them. We should turn the blind eye to them. Me, if my wife had a friend who was sleeping around, I would tell her, look, you need to like, you know, keep this girl at a distance. She's not good for our family unit. She's not good for our entourage. And we have to slowly lose touch with those kind of people. And that's it. And it's never violence. It's never judgment, but it's not good for me and my family and our little universe. Okay. So if it's not good for us, she's got to go. And maybe she changes her behavior. She's more than welcome. But this is a recipe that's been done for thousands of years. It works, guys. It works. It keeps your little nest very safe. And I would tell you, start even before that. Teach your daughters how to pick good men. Teach your sons how to pick good women. And for God's sakes, please, I beg you, don't let your teenage daughter get pregnant. Don't let your teenage son get a girl pregnant. I know families that the grandmother got pregnant at 15. The mother got pregnant at 15. If the daughter gets pregnant at 15, it's like, who? Anybody notice a pattern here? You girls are like living paycheck to paycheck. You end up with 3-4 baby daddies and you didn't realize there's a pattern here. How about the girl turns 15 and she's a virgin? How about that? How about she waits till later to start having sex? Because obviously at the age of 15, she doesn't know. Like, it's intergenerational errors. It's staggering, especially, like, I hate to say it. Listen, I married a Quebecoise. My children are Quebecois. I love Quebecois. Okay. But it's happening in Quebec. Young girls getting pregnant. It's an epidemic. It's an epidemic. Why are you allowing your young girls to get pregnant to guys who are going to leave and never call them again? They don't care about them again. And it's such such a bad start to life. It hurts me. That's not my daughter. Look, that'll never be my daughter. Inshallah. Okay, because I'll tell you, that'll be almost impossible. Mission impossible. Almost a mission impossible. Okay. But why do they let this happen to their daughters? I can't explain it. I have no explanation. Why would you advise your child to make this? If I have friends who are not Muslim, they're Quebecois. I have a lot of Quebecois friends, and they're happy their daughter has a boyfriend at 15, 16. Oh, they're happy. I'm like, whoa, aren't you worried? Like, no, she would never have sex. I'm like, at 15, they're having sex. And I remember my wife was there, his partner was there, and we were discussing it. My wife, she works as a principal. She knows what young kids do. She knows like, oh, no, at that age, they start having, he turned white as a ghost. But I'm like, dude, like, you've never heard of a teenage pregnancy? Like, it's all over the place. It exists everywhere. Like in our culture, it's an epidemic in our culture. Young women getting pregnant at a young age. Now, it's bad for the young man too, but it's not as bad as it is for the women. And it's in actually the Incel's manifesto, of course. He's not wrong about that. Philosophers have mentioned this many times.
Absolutely.
It's one of the worst starts you can have in life is get a young girl getting pregnant in her teenage years is a disaster. That's just, I think, the top thing you should teach your child. Okay, what else we got here? Okay, here we go. Coach, did you research on the incel cycle? Yes, we've been talking about it for a few hours. Thank you for tuning in. We've done a deep dive. Replay the video. What else we got here? Guys, we're doing super chats and non-super chats. What else we got here? What is this one? Zubair's Christians don't see sex as shameful. Okay, he's commenting someone else. Guys, come on, give me some good questions here. What the hell is this? A medical doctor testified that Maria had several severe, profound autism. Medical evaluation and concluded that she was chronologically 19. She possessed the
That
social.
is false.
What,
It's a
what is
false
this?
rumor about me. They
Oh
claim
God,
that
sorry
I
about that.
had sex with a young
Oh, okay,
woman,
I'm sorry about that, man.
but it's not true. It's
Troll.
an internet fakery.
Okay, my apologies for clicking on
Oh,
that. I'll
no
be more
problem.
careful.
Yeah, it's hard to. There's lots of JF haters that keep appearing on any
Oh,
stream I
okay,
go,
I see
and
what's
they
going on. Okay, I see what's going on. My apologies. Okay, I see. Okay, we're getting bombarded here a little
same
bit.
thing. This guy sent a super chat. He says, "Coach, ever watch the JF Gariépy files?" And again, this is
No, I
referring
haven't.
to false content about me.
Okay.
Claiming that I killed my ex or claiming that I raped some woman. All of it is
Okay.
false because I have such a history of political commentary since 2013 that I've been doing live streaming. There's lots of JF haters out there. Some of them get paid to hate me.
Okay, I see what you mean. Okay, so I'll be more careful here. I didn't
No
realize that was
worries.
the temperature here.
They make me laugh.
Okay, let's see here. Okay. Guys, any questions on the topic at hand? Okay, incel ideology, what can we do about it? How do we diffuse it, etc.?
Jimuk is asking, for young men working to become successful but not there yet, do you recommend ignoring women completely until success or finding one during the journey? I would say the two strategies are valuable. I would say, yes, pursue success. If you are at the low levels of society, you have nothing going for you, absolutely work on yourself first and foremost, but never miss an opportunity. A good woman can show up at surprising moments, and you should be open to catch her, but you also shouldn't be, as long as you're not set to be stable yourself and to have value yourself, you shouldn't be investing enormous amounts of attention toward women.
You know, I hate to say it, but Tony Montana said it best. You ever see the movie Scarface?
What did
He
he
had
say? I
his
don't
partner,
remember.
his partner Manny. He's always chasing after women. He's like, no, no, no. First you get the money, then you get the power, and then it's the women. Usually, generally speaking, I think a young man should spend his 20s getting ready for his 30s. You know, his teenage years should be getting ready for his 20s. If he can find success in his 20s, that's great. If not, he better find it in his 30s. Because if he doesn't find it in his 30s, now the clock is ticking. Because if you find success, then it's much easier to pick a woman. Because if you pick the woman before, you might have got a higher level of caliber woman if you would have waited a little bit. You know, so for me, I always think you should aim as high as possible. So work on yourself, see your potential, try to maximize your potential as in education, finance, virtue, etc. And then, you know, because it's like the longer you delay and the harder you work, the more likely you are to score big.
Absolutely.
Okay, let's see here. I think Christianity has a problem with seeing sex as something shameful, but this causes problems in the future. That's from Zubair. Yeah, there's a little bit of that in Christianity. I would say like sex is for procreation, it's not for fun, etc. What do you think, Jeff?
Yeah, it's weird because society is not seeing sex as shameful right now, and it's descending from a Christian liberalism that we are in this trouble. So when you attribute to Christianity, you have to understand the doctrine, the way it's practiced, and there are conservative religious Christians who are all axed onto family, and that's great. But there is also very loose Christianity that is present even in people who are relatively secular, and these people do not do shame at all. There is zero shame in liberal society about sexual promiscuity.
I think a lot of people they think Christianity is liberalism. It's not. The Christians were not
Yes.
liberal. It's infiltrated slowly. Yes, John Locke was Christian, and he was a devout Christian, and he wanted to have a degree of liberalism, but it's gone way too far, and it flies in the face of Christianity. It really does, because the Christians are conservative. Generally speaking, their religion is to be conservative. It's not to be, have 100 baby daddies. No, no. The Christians traditionally, they're reserved. Like if you read I don't know if you study the scriptures, but I've studied the Bible for many years. Okay, many years. Paul is saying, like, if you could be celibate, be celibate. If you're not at my level, okay, find one woman. Like he's not saying sex is wrong, but he's kind of limiting sex. He's more of a conservative guy, and I'm against. I don't think any man should be celibate. Personally, I don't care how religious you are. I don't think it's natural, etc. But generally speaking, they pump the brakes on like having many women. So, but liberalism, they give you have as many girlfriends as you want, no problem. It's not illegal. What else we got here? All right, guys, what else we have here? Give me a question that makes sense. Jeff, somebody here wants to ask me, are you going to come back to Quebec?
No, I left Quebec because I've been harassed by the provincial government and I cannot enter anymore. If I
Really?
enter, there's 6 police cars running after me
You're joking.
because of my political commentary. No, it's very serious.
Oh, really?
They
Okay.
attacked my family. They tried kidnapping my children, but I fled during the night and I was able to escape them. And thankfully, my father's rights are now respected in Alberta. But I cannot ever enter again. Cannot see my
Wow.
family. Cannot see my own mom.
Wow. Okay, I didn't know that. I had no idea.
Yeah, very sad what is happening in the attacks against families in Quebec. The DPJ is absolutely out of control.
The DPG.
Yes.
Okay, I'm being asked of Ernest Becker. Do you know Ernest Becker? Is this a legit question?
Ernest Becker, I don't know who that is.
Coach, no, I have no idea who he is either.
No, I don't know who that is.
What else we got here? I had one here. If you see one, let me know. Here's an interesting one, JF. Weigh in on this one.
Yeah. Should men focus on a virgin woman only? Well, in the ideal, that would be awesome, but it doesn't exist basically anymore. So,
5 bodies or less, she's a virgin, okay? 5 bodies or less, she's virgin in the West, right?
Yeah. So at this point, it's like you need to... I would say that is a lesson that applies across many questions. You have to deal with the world as it stands. And if that means having sex with a meth addict, OnlyFans whore, who gives you a shot at having a baby, maybe take it. But then accept that you will pay the price. I've always accepted the fact that I've been fucking the most degenerate woman in existence. Literal meth coke addicts.
You're joking.
But I've decided that it was worth making the babies. And that's
Really?
how I got to 6 babies. Yes. I've decided that I'm going to take the bottom of society and I'm going to make mothers out of them, and whatever happens.
Is it working for you? Is it working?
It's working because I have 6 babies. So it's like...
But do those babies have a mama?
I've had a lot of suffering from it,
yeah?
But I've accepted the suffering. I've accepted sometimes life gives you tough contracts, and I'm the one willing to take them.
I hear you, man. You got to do what you got to do. Sometimes you have a tough contract. Oh boy. Okay. Here we go. Many women is all over Genesis in the Bible. Yeah, if you read the Old Testament, you're allowed to have multiple wives. Solomon had many wives, and God tells Solomon, I give you 1,000 concubines. I think it was 800,000. If you wanted more, I'd give you more. Okay, so unlimited amount of women in the Old Testament. Then the New Testament is like one wife, and then later on the rabbis, maybe 150 years ago, 250 years ago, they made a new decree, only one woman. Okay, and I could see the benefit in both. When there's a war, there's very few men. You got to have more than one woman. You got to repopulate society. And then, okay, there's not enough women for everybody. Let's make one rule, one man, one woman rule. That takes away the Giga Chads from siphoning up the entire society. The Incel manifesto guy, whatever, I forget his name, he also mentions it. I totally understand there's a balance in society, of course, because here's the thing. It's not good for society for a select few men having all the women. It doesn't make the men happy. It doesn't make the women happy. It doesn't make the guys at the bottom happy. And ultimately, civilization is going to disappear. If you have that model, if you have that model for your civilization won't last many generations. Am I right?
Absolutely. For a peaceful society, split the females and the males equally among themselves. Because if you have surplus males at the bottom of society, that turns to criminality, violence, terrorism, and whatever. Sometimes just war.
All right. Okay, I gotta keep this guy out.
Ep says it was Virgil, Paul, and Augustine that creates this unnecessary celibacy. Professor Young has a video on the dating market currently. I've not been following in detail Professor Young's statement on the dating market, but I know he does extensive videos and very detailed theories of the world. I'll have a look at it.
Yeah, I've seen some of his videos. I think he's a bit off on certain things. Like he did a video on Islam and he was really off. Like he's a very intelligent guy. Don't get me wrong, but he's not as detailed as people might think. I think he probably does like a summary. And yeah, he did a video on Islam, and lots of it was wrong, But I can understand, like in my opinion, hearing it, he probably did like a quick summary, a few hours, and he's an intelligent guy. He can make it sound really precise and like he knows what he's saying, but I think he's going viral and he's milking it and he's trying to make his name as big as he can. And they say he predicted the Iran war, etc. Well, you know what? That war is also, it's not the craziest prediction, after Iraq, after Yemen, like who else is there? It's probably Iran, and it's been brewing for a long time. So, I mean, he says he's predicting, from what I understand, he's predicting the downfall of America. He thinks like Iran's going to be the next Vietnam, etc. Even worse, he was saying. I saw a video, but this guy's really going viral. Now, I'm interested to see what he says about women. Actually, it'll be interesting to look at.
I agree. I think he has a little too much popularity for the level that he truly is. And yes, there's some errors and some recycling of already existing material a lot. J Mook says, do you think looks maxing or weightlifting, even if for vanity, is a positive force against incelism? Definitely, you want to look max to the extent you can. You don't want to stay fat if you're fat. It will totally improve your value on the dating market. It's one important aspect. And I would say we have less tolerance these days than we had 10 or 20 years ago for obesity. And I think the standards of beauty are becoming stricter and stricter. So yes, look smack to the extent you can.
Yeah, but I'll be honest with you. I think looks maxing is a bit of a bad idea. Okay, if you don't mind me chiming in, I'll tell you why. Okay, because I heard the guys like, and believe me, I only know about looks maxing because my students talk to me about it. These young guys are like, Coach, this guy, see this guy, he's looks maxing. And the guy's talking about hitting himself in the face with a hammer to make his jaw more like robust. Here's the thing, he's faking robustness. I hate this. I always tell guys, it's easier to be robust than to fake robustness.
Oh yeah, to be clear, I don't support the hammer stuff or looks maxing of a vanity kind. But when I think looks maxing, I think like you. You've been just training jiu-jitsu and your body has adapted to look like a warrior's body. And that is what will attract women.
But it's easier to do it this way, the legit way. We have in martial arts, we have a fake black belts, okay? We have like guys who got a black belt politically, and it's like, we all know the guy's not a black belt. He cut the corners. He did it because of politics. He bought somebody a school. He has a brand. It's easier to get a black belt than to live like this. It's like so much easier to be authentic. Like it's so, if he just did the work, man, if he wouldn't suffer all the negativity and all, like, dude, just do the hours of training. It's way easier than all this. Like, that's why, like, I feel like looks maxing is a bad idea. Like, I don't think it's wrong to straighten your beard and like wash yourself, obviously dress nice, work out with weights. But if you want an athletic body, do athletics. Like, don't just do the vanity part. Like, because the girls will quickly find out, hey, it's all looks. You're gonna get a girl, but then we're gonna find out, oh, it was kind of cosmetic. It's like she's gonna notice there's something inauthentic. Because here's the thing, Jeff, in my opinion, okay, the most important thing, and I don't want to sound corny, is be authentic. Like if you have a robust jaw is because you wrestle, you box, like you do something that gave you a robust jaw. Like if you're muscular, well, I hope you're doing an activity that requires the generation of muscle. Like it's easier to do it that way. Like I'm not against lifting weights. Like, okay, if you're doing CrossFit and you're in shape, man, that's a real sport. Like just be authentic. I think that is the ultimate, because then you're going to have this confidence, because you've also earned your badges. You've earned, and here's the thing where people have to remember. You start at the bottom, you're a novice. It's tough. It seems impossible. But that's everything. If you want to learn guitar, if you want to learn how to drive, the first time you get in, it's going to seem impossible. It's going to seem so difficult. And then after a while, it's like really easy. Anybody can do it. Like you get past that feeling of so difficult, So I really teach my sons, like I really put it in their head, like don't kind of follow these guys. And also I don't think a man should beautify himself too much. Like don't do things like, like I see sometimes, I'm not against any of this, okay? Like I see sometimes guys, and there's very tough guys, great fighters that do this too. They kind of like do a little bit of feminine stuff to their look.
Yes.
I personally wouldn't allow my sons to do that. Personally, I don't like it. And he could be champion of the world. He could be champion of the world. He could have 100 knockouts at 100 fights, and he could be the toughest guy in the world. He could tell me that, you know what, I'm the toughest guy in the world. Don't tell me not to do this. I would still ask him not to. Why? Because I feel like it's a step in the wrong direction, and I feel like it's kind of like, I don't like it. I don't like to make, for me, like I get it, like I get gender studies. I get what they're saying. But that idea ain't useful. That idea, it's not going to help your survival. It's not a useful idea. It's ultimately
I agree with
slippery
everything
slope,
there.
you know?
Absolutely. And authenticity, extremely important message.
What else again? Putting money on Max Holloway, that's a good idea, but I wouldn't bet. I wouldn't gamble. I think it's a very bad idea. Gambling is a very bad idea. Okay, here's this. Is there anything wrong to what Andrew Tate says? Give me your take on Andrew Tate.
I think there's a lot of things wrong. Andrew Tate is one of these people who elevates himself as a giga chad in the incel world. And the thing is, you cannot tell everyone to become an alpha. That's not viable. Males have to compete in a zero-sum game to be at the top. And he's at the top having profited on many bad commerce and trade of sex, in the sense of exploiting OnlyFans or OnlyFans-like accounts, and basically being a pimp of internet pornography to an extent. I believe it is not a good model, and it is exploitative of other males. The poor followers of Andrew Tate are being exploited, and they were sometimes thinking that they were talking to a girl when in fact they were talking to a man who texts for the girl and gives you the illusion that you're talking to a girl. So it is deceptive what he's been engaged in and what he's made money with. That being said, I appreciate a lot of his message and his honesty about the state of the world and how you have to be brutal and at the top of the pile. Sure, that is truthful, and he has a lot of good commentary on women and politics, but down the line, he is too much of a polygamist for me to back ideologically.
You know what? I agree with you. We can't all be at the top, but you don't need to be at the top, Jeff. I don't think that's a realistic goal. I think you have to find your place in society, because the king is not the happiest guy. It's not true. The king, the guy on top, he's got to maintain his status. There's a lot of burden with being on top. George St. Pierre, we're talking about, he was miserable as champion at a certain point. He was very happy for a long time. And then at the end of his career, he was like, I've had enough because I'd have to fight again. I have to like keep my name going. It was a lot of burden, like the king is always wondering, hey, who else out there wants to assassinate me? Like sometimes being the center, like I love George St. Pierre. He's a great guy, but he's too famous. I wouldn't want to be that famous. He can't, me and you can go into the mall. We might get recognized. It's not a big deal. If he goes to the mall to have a sit down, to eat with his mother, he can't do it. No. We take for granted the little things he can't do. Like if you want to go from point A, when George St. Pierre comes to the gym, I have to like block the door. I have to stop people from taking pictures. People want to take a picture of him while he's ordering food. Like, it's just the guy he has many great privileges, but there's also a lot of downside, JF. Like, it's not always the best to be number one. These young men have to find a place in society. The guy who's number 8 in this universe, he's feeling he has good things in his life and he has bad things. And maybe he moves to number 4 or number 5 and he's gonna feel elated. Maybe he's gonna slide down to number 9. He's gonna feel a little bit of pain, but then he's gonna work his way back up. He's gonna have his own positives and negatives. I don't think we should tell our sons it's number 1 or nothing. That's not true. You can't make life number 1 or nothing. That's too much of an impossible. We're gonna end up destroying each other.
Absolutely.
At the end of the day, I'll tell you something. I tell my guys, be too much trouble for people to pick on you. If you train, if you prepare yourself, and I always tell that about everything. Like, if I have a business, the first thing I ask myself is, I tell my sons, I said, if you have something, if you own something, ask yourself one thing: can anybody take this from me? If the answer is yes, they can take it. It's not yours. It's not yours. Guess what?
Yes.
It's not really yours. Technically, it's yours. Legally, it's yours. But one day, some guy's going to decide it's his, and he could take it from you. When I have something, the first thing I ask myself is, what happens when it's gone? Like, when I married my wife, Jeff, I'm really open and honest, and I think young men should also do this. I had a prenuptial agreement. I remember the notary when he was signing it. He was a Quebecois guy, and I'm marrying a Quebecois girl, and he wasn't happy, and he was trying to negotiate for her. I'm like, dude, we're two consenting adults. You're a notary. You're not here to argue for her. Like, you don't know. Like I had assets. I had money. I'm marrying a young girl. I'm not crazy. No, I was a young man too, but I'm not crazy. I'm not crazy. Like, yes. Maybe she decides she doesn't want to be with me 2 years from now. Okay, well, why should I be financially ruined? And even in Quebec, they're going to fight me. Even with my prenuptial agreement, I know I'm going to have to fight for it. I understand. I'm not crazy. That's why I like cryptocurrency. I always ask myself, how do I not lose my place in the world? And that's it. I don't want to be, you know what? I'll be honest with you. George St. Pierre has a great life. He's an amazing guy. But it's not easy being the guy at the top. It's not easy living that image and having to keep it pristine, and the higher you are, the more painful when it falls. Like, it's just, these kids have to stop aiming for that. Like, you're right, Andrew Tate is too extreme. Look, get your piece of the pie. Your piece of the pie tastes just as good as the guy on top, because he has other problems. Rich people have problems too. They have problems too. Like, you don't have to be a gazillionaire. Will Smith, he's got woman problems, doesn't he?
Yes.
Like, when I saw his whole thing, man, I'm like, Will Smith, the guy could sing, the guy could dance, the guy can act, the guy's in the movies, the guy's in the sitcom. He can't keep his woman in line. Even his woman sleeping with the guy who's friends with his son, and the guy makes a song about it. Like, wow. Even his wife has a show where she talks about her promiscuity, and I saw his daughter telling his mother, Will Smith's daughter's telling his mother about how she's polyamory. Like, I saw a clip, I'm like, oh my God, I would, like, his son, I heard, they told me, I saw a picture of him, and I was like, ooh, like, it's kind of weird, that picture. He's like, oh, he doesn't believe there's a difference between women's clothes and men's clothes. Like, things like that. Like, that guy's super ultra successful, but now I heard he's broke. He's going broke. He's having trouble. Like, even the top guy, even Tom Brady, the greatest quarterback of all time, even he lost his woman to a jiu-jitsu guy. A no-name, unknown, I never heard of this guy. Her jiu-jitsu coach.
Oh, yeah.
Plucked. Now, she's a supermodel. She's got her own money. She's probably not getting the attention. Whatever. She has 1,000. Like, even Tom Brady can hang on to what he has. Like, guys, get ready to let go, man. Like, it's going to happen. You're going to slip. You're going to have it. Life is a little bit snakes and ladders, but find your place in the world. You're not going to be a number. Even when you're number one, let me tell you something. You're number one for a small amount of time. That's it. And it hurts when you're not number one no more. Oh, like, they have their own problems. They're like, just don't envy it so much. Don't put it like, Andrew Tate is not number one, by the way. He did a boxing fight. He looked horrible. It's probably arguably the worst boxing fight I've ever seen. He lost so much street cred. He fell from so high because he wouldn't shut up about how great he is.
Yes.
Like, I'm telling you, like, Andrew Tate is not the right model. A real champion, he's humble. He's respectful. He knows how limited he is. When you hear a guy tell you how good he is, man, he's insecure. Well, like, I'm not a big fan of Trump. I got to be honest with you. He keeps telling me how smart he is. He keeps telling me how he's got everything. Like, to me, when I hear him talk, he sounds like a guy who doesn't know what he's doing. They tell me he's playing 3D chess with these negotiations. I don't believe it. I personally don't believe it. I think he doesn't know what he's doing.
Absolutely. Complete
That's my opinion.
failure of managing the Iran war.
Oh, for sure. He keeps saying, we have a deal. It's on the table. Everything is negotiated except the nukes. Well, that was the first thing. That was the first thing you said. Like, I love how he did a Truth Social post and he was like, complete and utter surrender, nothing else. And now he's like, oh, well, we just don't want him to have nukes. What happened to complete utter surrender and nothing else? That's a guy who's never been in a fight. In a fight, let me tell you something. You don't know what's going to happen. That's the number one rule of fighting. We don't know how things are going to go. Even when everything's stacked in our favor, we still don't know. And, like Iran's been around for a long time. They're not going to just give up. They've been around. They're a 3,000 plus year old civilization. They've seen it all. Alexander the Great went to fight them. Like, these guys have been around forever. So Andrew Tate, for me, he's not like this zero-sum game. It's got to go. Find your piece of the pie. That's the real success. Find your little heaven, man. Find a good woman, a house, kids, a good job that you like to do, and that's your little universe. And guess what, man? Your little universe, don't look at the other little universe out there. It's not, I find that's a big trap for women. Women go online and they get mind, because they see other people's lives. They're like, oh, their lives are so nice. Their lives are so good. I want a life like that. I'm gonna leave my husband. I'm gonna make this jump. And there's like a single mother like cult almost online. How great their lives are. How they made it on their own. No, you didn't make it on your own. You're taking taxpayer. We give billions in taxpayer money.
Yes,
billions, like not millions, billions. Why? Because some girl couldn't keep track of who the father is. I gotta pay for it. Yeah, you gotta pay for it. Coach, JF, you gotta pay. You gotta take it from your piggy bank. You gotta pay. That's crazy to me. How do you mean she doesn't know who the father is? Garnish that guy's salary. Oh, he doesn't have a salary. He's a deadbeat. Why'd she get pregnant from him for? How did she get pregnant from a guy who, like, where's the responsibility? Oh, it's on you, the taxpayer. Well, why shouldn't she go out, get drunk, and get pregnant because she's gonna get a check in the mail? It's gotten crazy. The situation's gotten crazy, and socialism, it can go too far. It can go too far.
Yes.
It's a sinking ship. There's holes in the ship, etc. But not to go too long on a tangent, I think Andrew Tate is too extreme. Find your piece of the pie. That should be the message. Find your piece of the pie. Find your little haven, and be happy, man. You can make that little haven a paradise, like a place where you could be the happiest guy in the world. But you could also turn it into a hell because you go online and you think, oh, that guy's life is better than mine. That guy's life is cuter than mine. Everything is better online. Yeah, right. Take away the filters. Take away the fact that, you don't know their life. Maybe he beats her. Maybe he cheats on her. Maybe she cheats on him. Maybe she's miserable. You don't know what they're going through. You don't know. You just see the facade. I think social media has created this crazy illusion. That's why personally, I don't go on social media too much. Honestly, very little. I get the news on social media and that's it. I don't watch people's reels. I don't even know I never posted a reel in my life. And I don't even know what a reel is. Like, I have a guy who posts my social media. I give the content because, it's business and you keep in contact with the people. But I don't know how to do a reel and all these things. Like, I find it's too much, man. It's just too much distraction.
Absolutely.
But give me your take on that.
I agree. And I agree with everything you said. Claim your piece of the pie, but don't be too greedy.
Yeah, the grass is always greener, man. It's always better out there. The next flavor is going to be the best one. You have this unlimited amount of, because, like when you go on porn sites, you have an unlimited amount of females.
Yes.
So the next female is going to be hotter, or the next female is going to be different. It's like, have you ever read A Billion Wicked Thoughts? It's a really good book.
No.
It's written by two neuroscientists. Basically, they see everything that we search online and they psychoanalyze us. I love it. It's a great book. It's a great book. Men obviously are sexually deprived. Obviously, men are we're sick, man. We're sick. The most dangerous creature on the face of the earth, 99.9% of sexual assault is man. Man on man or man on woman. The sexual criminal is always the man. Like, I find it's the most dangerous. Man is the most dangerous. But you know what? They're telling us, look, you know what men click on the most? Chicks with men who are dressed as women. Why? Well, it's more, they clicked so much on the women. Now they need something, they need another level. They need another hit. I need something freaky. You've desensitized yourself. You know what I mean? So that's why I always tell my sons, like, it's pleasure now or pleasure later. Delay play, because these young men, they're addicted to porn. That's going to destroy their sex life. So I tell them, like, look, I'm not saying if you cracked it open here and there, it's going to destroy you. But if you get addicted to it, this is going to destroy your life. You're going to go to bed to your wife and you're like, what is this? I need something more than this. I need like, something ridiculous like you see on the internet. The race
Oh
to the
yeah,
bottom. They're,
I've had people contact me, men who are addicted to trans porn, and it's terrible because they can't even have their dick hard with a woman anymore because they've associated too much the rewarding nature of seeing females with dicks.
but the solution to that is
The solution would be to not have it at all. But do you have
exactly.
another idea?
No, absolutely. Look, I'll tell you something. In the Islamic tradition, we have a Ramadan. A Ramadan
yeah.
is like a collective abstinence. Everybody's not eating, drinking, and sleeping at night with our wife. Everybody, we're all abstaining.
Mhm.
You're recharging the battery. Then when you have your morning coffee, you haven't had a morning coffee in a month, you enjoy it again. You with your wife again. Oh, you enjoy it like you used to. Like it recharges the human battery, and you can do this. It doesn't have to be necessarily just a religious practice, but people are so fascinated with consumption. More is always better. No, it's not true. I enjoy my food better than you. You've desensitized your tongue.
Yes.
Me, I still taste my food. I still taste it. You need extra sugar, extra fat, extra calorie. You need this super chocolatey smushed into more sugar and fat. They have to, because you need more calories you need more sugar. Like they made it too intense that if I eat an apple, it tastes bland to me. Like you can oversaturate your senses, and capitalism does that a little bit. Because for 25 cents more, we'll give you more fries, we'll give you a bigger drink, we'll give you a bigger burger. I don't want it. I don't want it. Why? Me, I measure my waist, I measure my health. I don't overconsume. But here's the thing: I enjoy my food more than you. You flip the way you think. You flip the way you think, and you flip the way your life turns out. In my opinion, if you change your way you think, you change your life. It's the most powerful. It's because here's the thing, Jeff. You only control how you think. I don't control the circumstance. I don't control Western society. I don't control what other people do. I control how you think.
Absolutely.
All right, Jeff, man. I want to tell you, we've been going, I think, 2 hours, man. We just cracked 2 hours. I want to tell you, I appreciate you coming in and explaining us the manifesto and how this guy was thinking. I think, these young kids, if they are more empowered, they're more educated in a sense that's more positive. I think they can really turn things around. Because here's the thing: ultimately speaking, after everything we said, I blame men. I don't blame women. Jeff, you might disagree with me.
I disagree with this. I think that I really enjoyed the discussion. I think that you're one of the wisest men I've spoken across the years, having done thousands of interviews. I think you have really a good idea of how to personally improve your life. However, on your reading that it's the fault of men, that is a guilt attribution that I don't join you in. But for the rest, I largely agree with you. I believe that you don't see that there is evil in women and that there is a societal drive to take control of society. We see it in the way their politics express itself, the way they vote themselves into the social welfare, socialist states, and the way they are denying fathers' rights in modern times. There is an overtake of women, and it is evil, and it needs to be called out. That being said, I agree with 99% of the rest we've
JF,
discussed
aren't men
tonight.
evil? Are men evil?
No, they're not. Not as much as women. Let me
You're
tell
crazy,
you,
Jeff. That's
men.
hold on. We're gonna go another hour here.
Men
Men
can be
are
together at a gym. If
evil.
they have a conflict, they will be honest about it. They won't be vicious about it. If there's to be a fight, there will be a fight. But women
No,
are another level of viciousness,
no.
and
I
it
got.
is.
Let me make an argument if you don't mind.
Go ahead.
Men are far more evil. Let me tell you why. Okay, it's because of our own lusts. Women are stepping on our heads. It's because we're so out of control with lusts. Women, let me tell you something. Women have sexual urges too. I'm not crazy. Okay, but women can resist sexual promiscuity more than a man. It's just that we reward promiscuous women in our society. That's why we're getting killed. we have to go back to traditional values, more conservative values. You told me yesterday you're politically, excuse me, you told me today you're politically conservative, but then you told me you're liberal in other ways. What did you mean by politically conservative?
Well, I
Explain that part
believe
to me.
that society must be organized to maintain tradition and to not let modernity, the way we've let it happen in Canada and the US and Europe. We need to basically have a conservative traditionalist view, especially of personal matters like family, the importance of the father. And I'm also a conservative politically because I'm for the free market and I'm against socialism and communism. So that's what I meant. When I say I'm temperamentally liberal, that means in my everyday, I'm not the kind of guy who imposes authority on the people around me very much. I leave a lot of loose on the people around me, but that is just a behavioral thing. Politically, I'm right wing.
Okay, I understand that, but like, do you take time to converse with your kids and kind of like, I'm sure you do, obviously, but how to protect themselves in the dating market, how to like think about relationships? I'm sure you do that, obviously, a lot, correct?
Yeah, I guide, but I'm not an authoritarian. I don't like the idea of imposing by force or by fear or violence.
No, no, no. I'm with you there. I'm with you there. But you obviously you educate. I don't know if you have boys or girls. You don't have to tell me or, at all if you don't feel comfortable. But you don't see that your daughter is more evil than your son, or she has more like she has a seed in her that's less than your son. Would you say that?
No, I wouldn't say that, but I have this experience with women where I have a very good mother that I love. I have
Hmm.
great daughters that I love, but I know what happens if you don't educate women properly, and I know that the women of my generation that have interacted in love with me, uh, those are extremely evil people. I mean, people who will just kidnap your children while it's still in their belly and will lie about you to keep it for them for the rest of their lives. When you've seen that evil, you cannot just say naively, women are kind and men are evil. When you've seen a woman kidnap your own child, you understand that there is a deep evil that has not been properly addressed by civilization. And I've seen it again and again.
No, I could definitely understand that. That's a great evil, of course. To be deprived of your child, etc. Of course, I don't know the details, and I don't want to get into it. That's your personal business. But men could be extremely violent, extremely abusive, and 99.9% of sexual assault is from a man. Show me a case where a woman sexually assaults another woman or a young man or a
Well,
man.
the thing is,
Usually, it's a teacher on a young kid who's super happy about it. Usually, and it's we're talking about less than 1% of cases here. But go ahead, I'll let you.
men don't complain about being victimized by sexual assault. But when you look into the psychology studies, there is equal amounts of abuse in the home by females toward men than male toward females, and equal amounts of sexual abuse too. It's just that men will never report it; they don't care. So it's a
Jeff, how is a
different.
man sexually abused? Explain that to me.
Oh, well,
She
it's
overpowers him?
woman
How is that possible?
insisting that you lick their pussy, a woman wanting to have sex with you and they force you because you don't feel like it. That exists. And it's just men will not call the police for this. That's all there is to it.
Jeff, I don't know. I don't see it. I just don't see it. How could a woman overpower a man and take sex from him? How?
It's
It's
not
not
about
possible.
power. They don't force the man physically, but that's very rarely how sexual abuse happens, anyways. They do so by forcing, by insisting, by threatening, by manipulating. I'm telling you, just Google any psychological studies that looks into the actual rates of bilateral
Send me
abuse
that
in a
study, please.
couple,
I gotta
and
see
it's
it.
equal for men and women.
You gotta send me send me something, please.
Absolutely, I'll be
Send me
happy
a
to send you
source
the links.
because I gotta see it. Because I'll tell you something. You know what I tell my wife? I said, I wish I can live on a planet with just women. Just me. I'm the only man, and the rest is all women. I don't have any competition, and life is just perfect. Obviously, I say it jokingly, but I feel like who commits crime and violence? Who? It's always a man. It's always men. Look at how many men are in jail in America? Like it's like 3 million, 4 million. What is it? What's the number? It's like
Yeah, that's
10%.
because we don't put the female criminals in jail. They get pardon. Have you ever been at a trial day at court? I've been because I've had some of my exes were criminals, and
Mhm.
I would see men again and again be brought back in front of the judge would send them immediately to jail. And then the woman criminal were showing up, and she was like, oh, my poor little one, you've been a victim of society. They forced you to steal that salmon. We're going to give you a pardon.
Oh, well, man, you know what? If we look at all the wars, all the violent crime that's caught on camera, it's always a man. And you know what? The one demographic that, okay, how about this? Let's say you had 100,000 migrants coming in. Would you want to be 100,000 male migrants, age 18 to 28, or 100,000 female migrants, 18 to 28? Which one would you rather be coming to your country?
Because I would inseminate them. That's what I do.
Let's say you can't have any you can't have any relationship with them. Just they're gonna live in society. They're gonna be NPCs. Which one would you rather have?
Well, I would rather have the females because any male is a competitor to me. And that's why violence exists between male. By the way, I don't deny that violence exists between male. I'm saying society largely ignores female abuse. And society largely ignores the fact that a lot of the circumstances that lead to male violence are actually caused by female decision making, including war.
I would agree to some extent, but I would say they're enabled by other men. Men are using women to attack one another. That's how I would see it.
So
because
here
where do women get their power? They get their power from men, don't they?
I'm copying the link to the study that I was referring to. Major meta-analysis, Archer in 2000. Key findings: women were slightly more likely than men to use one or more acts of physical aggression and to do so more frequently. Women were more likely to throw something, slap, kick, bite, punch, or hit with an object. Men were more likely to beat up or choke or strangle. Overall, 62% of those injured by a partner were women. So no doubt there is bilateral violence. The frequency is very high on women to the point of being more common. The damage is typically greater when it's from a man because men are more powerful.
Jeff, can I tell you a story?
Go ahead.
One time I said something stupid to my wife in front of my kids. I said something ridiculous. Okay. Like I took a jab at her and she turned around and she backhanded me in the chest. Now I fell to the floor pretending to be injured. My kids didn't care at all. And I asked my children, I was crawling. I was pretending my chest was caved in. I was like, which one of you would testify in court? My daughter said, I didn't say anything. My second son is like, I didn't say, he's the mama's boy. I didn't say anything. My eldest son is like, Papa, I saw it. And I told him, your stock is rising. Your share of Bitcoin just increased. On my deathbed. On my deathbed. Your share is going to be the lion's share. Why? This was a test for you. But look, yeah, my wife hit me. Was that abuse? Come on. It's a woman hitting a guy. I don't think it's abuse.
Well, the thing is, you can't have your cake and eat it too. Claim that, well, woman abuse doesn't exist, and when pointed out that it exists, say, oh well, I don't call it abuse. Well, okay, then
Jeff,
you've just semantically defined yourself out of existence.
I hear what you're saying, Jeff. I get it, but the woman's hitting the man because she knows it's nothing to him. She's hitting the man. She's getting angry with her man. She's like doing something angry. Yeah, it's okay. It doesn't matter. Like, abuse would be like she jammed a knife on my leg. Okay. Abuse would be like she grabbed a baseball bat and hit me. Like, I believe all these little abuse. I can't wait to read the article, by the way. I can't wait to see who reported it. I can't wait to dig into it. Okay. But for me, it's probably those kind of like little things. Oh, he got slapped from his wife and he filed a report. Like I remember this famous YouTuber. I forget his name. He has a bald head. He does like 50 amazing facts. He's super Matt Soro. What's his name?
Stefan Moliner?
No. He's an English speaking guy. He's Matt something. He has like these countdown. He's super huge. He's super huge on YouTube. Super huge. He does these like viral videos. He got slapped by his girlfriend. He made a whole video about how he's abused because she slapped him. Now look, it's not right to slap a man. It's not right. I'm not justifying it. I'm just saying if my wife slapped me, I wouldn't make a video about it. I wouldn't cry about it. I wouldn't think about it. I wouldn't even like reporting it would be absolutely, in my opinion, no disrespect to anybody out there. Okay. Because I know a lot of people are going to get upset with me and they're going to say like, that's abusive and abuse should be reported. In my worldview, and I'm not judging on anybody here, that's nothing. That doesn't count. My wife, my mother slapped me. Okay. Look, listen to me. My mother, she slapped me. Do you think I think it's, I don't even think of it as abuse. I don't think of it as abuse. Why? That's my mother, man. If I pissed her off and she slapped me, well, you know what? Maybe I deserve the slap. But a man, I hate to say this, guys. I come from a different culture, and please, like, I don't judge anybody, okay? Here, but I don't think that's. I wouldn't put that on the scoreboard. I'm sorry to say, man, that's not on the scoreboard. Now, if I slap my wife, yeah, that would go on the scoreboard. That makes, like, I'm a man. I'm hitting her. She's more, small, tiny. She's more vulnerable. I bet this article is a lot about, like, these little kind of things. You know what I mean? That men are reporting. Why? Because they want to fight back. Because if they do the smallest thing, it gets blown up. If the
But
woman
your
does it,
minimization is an
yeah,
integration of male hatred of feminism. And I'm afraid that you're not enough Muslim. You have been ingesting aspects of liberalism from Western civilization. You need to go back to the Quran. You need to reread.
I'm gonna grow my beard twice as long now because of this.
Because, you know, the little hits, and I get it, it's not life-threatening very often. But there is a terror that exists when you're with a crazy woman, that she can mess your life in little ways. She won't kill you, but she can totally ruin your sleep with her delusions. I had women wake me up accusing me of betraying them with another woman while I was sleeping in my dreams. And they can deprive you of sleep. They can completely ruin your productivity. And by the way, a pregnant woman in Western civilization can literally extort you by threatening you to go get an abortion. And this is always combined with the violence. So yes, throwing a Kleenex box isn't a big thing, but combine it with the atmosphere of intimidation and terrorism, and it's terrible.
This I agree with you. The state makes them so powerful because, you know what I tell my sons. You know, I like to study society and kind of reflect, because I always tell people I don't need to make the same mistake as that guy. I tell my sons there's two types of experience: expensive and free. Expensive is you made the mistake, you paid for it, you learned your lesson. Free is I saw another guy make a mistake, I learned from his mistake. I'm not gonna do it. I learned. And when women have your children, oh, they have you by the you know what now. They have you by the you know what. So you have to be very careful. I've seen guys like you want to talk giga chads lose their mind. They can't see that baby that they love. They can't be part of the family that they love. Like, I don't care how tough you are on the exterior, you're a fighter. Trust me, I've seen fighters lose it. Why? Because they disconnected from their baby, and the mother sometimes has that much power. Things are better now. Things are better. I would say the state is more, it's like men are getting more rights. I would say maybe it's not equal, it's not perfect, and I understand why the judge would side with the mother. I do understand. Like, I would rather go with my mother than my dad, that's for sure. Okay, personally, I think a child needs his mother more. That's just my point of view. It's not going to be a popular opinion, but that's my personal view. But I understand the state makes the woman so powerful, especially if she can take half your money. But I still blame me as a person because I shouldn't have let that happen to me. Look, you know, I love Bitcoin. You know, my wife, she asks me about Bitcoin. I'm like, what's Bitcoin? I don't even know what that is. What's cold storage? I don't know. Like, is that internet money? You explain it to me, honey. Now, obviously, she knows I have Bitcoin. She knows, like, I know all about Bitcoin. But, like, Bitcoin's another way to, how do I stop somebody from taking this from me? And that's what a young man needs to be taught. You want your woman to be straight as an arrow? Guess what? She wants to be straight as an arrow too. But if the society, you know, that's why I tell people, you know, like, I have good friends of mine who got divorced. I'm like, dude, she's married to the state. She didn't marry you. She's married to the state. The state is her husband. She gets everything she needs from the state. Now, if you can't provide better than the state, guess what? The state's going to take it from you. Exactly. And that's part of young men's challenge. You got to teach your kids how to think in a way that they can't take this from me. I love Bitcoin. Why? They can't take it from me. I've been buying Bitcoin for a long time. Why? They can't take it from me. Tell me more about it. Oh, you know, like, I have a plan B how to get out of this place. Like, I have a plan B. Like, if my wife leaves me, I already have a plan B. I have a plan C. If they come repossess my house, I have another plan. Like, don't get me wrong, I'm not bulletproof. I have bad times. But here's the thing. That's a man's responsibility. Call me crazy. You have to protect and provide. You have to be thinking about these two things at nauseum. Because personally, Jeff, I think if a woman feels you protect and provide really well, oh, her mind shifts. Her mind is going to shift to a new zone. But the woman's gonna turn against you. You know, I tell my sons in front of my wife, JF, you're gonna laugh. In front of my wife, I tell my sons, if I didn't have any success, your mother would have picked up and left a long time ago. And she tells them, no, don't say that. It's not true. I tell my sons, you could believe anybody you want, son. You could believe anybody you want. But I'm telling you, I don't think she would have stuck around if things were
Absolutely.
going south. Now, nowadays, I think my wife would stick around personally. If I go
Yes.
down to zero, I think she would. But when she was younger, I was doing well and things were going right and I had all the control, but I was very nice to her. I think you have to be powerful and kind. That's the real beauty. And
Yes.
after a while, if you were kind to her, she'll never forget it. I think she'll be like, you know what? Like he had all the power and he was good to me and he put me on a pedestal. And there's that the human beings will become close. Well, you could have put me down. I could have changed wife. I could have done all these things. No, 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 no. You're loyal to me. I'm loyal to you. This is it. We're family. Like there's not just measurements. I don't, I used to give my wife this thought experiment. I said, look, imagine I meet another girl. She's identical to you. Just her skin is 1% softer. Should I trade wife? Is a wife a commodity? Or is there something more, something you can't put a price on? Well, we have a shared history. We have children together, etc. So for me, I give her security. Like you're my wife. Nobody could ever take your place. I put her on a pedestal. However, I put her on her pedestal, Jeff, but she knows, my wife knows that the second she does the wrong thing, it's over. Like you got to have that line in the sand. You know what I mean? I feel like in the West, we have no line in the sand. Oh, let her walk all over me. Let her do it. And we don't have a fail-safe plan. We don't have a plan for if she becomes crazy. We don't have it.
Mm-hmm.
And especially when they have your kids, because when they have your kids now, if you don't have your money right, if you don't have your business right, because who are the kids going to want to live with? I got a house and a mansion and I take them on vacation. She doesn't have anything. Where's she going to take my kids if she doesn't have anything? Now, you might think that's cynical. No, 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 no. It's not cynical because yes, I have the power, but I kept her share. I gave her her share. I kept her and I kept her where she is as long as she doesn't do anything bad. But if you get this 50-50 type of mentality, I have $1, she has $1. I buy the groceries, she buys the groceries. In my opinion, it's gonna
Absolutely.
collapse. The man
Keep
has
the
to
leverage
control.
over your woman because if you give them the means to escape, they will escape. And yes, Bitcoin is a great tool. That's how I survived hundreds of relationships with evil
Jeff,
women.
I wouldn't say escape. Let her go, man. She wants to go. She doesn't have to escape. Don't let.
Yeah,
I'm not
escape.
trapping my women. I'm not trapping my women.
She's
I
escaping
earned
her
the house.
contract.
I earned the job. I earned the thing. I have this resources. I collect these resources. Here's your share, more than mine. You're welcome, but you don't control the resources, and neither does the government, and neither is nobody's going to come and pluck it away from me because yeah, for sure, you're putting ideas in her head. And you know what? That's true for men and women. As people mature, they collect more virtue. And you know what? I'll be honest with you. One time I was doing a live and I said that I was teaching my wife something, and a guy wrote me a whole scheme. You think you're teaching your wife? You think you're teaching her? Oh yeah, that's the problem. You guys, you know what? Here's the thing. I pain myself to be more educated than my wife. If my wife read a book, I gotta read 5 books. I gotta read 5 books. If she knows something, I gotta know 10 times more. Why? Because call me an egomaniac. I want to know more. I want to be richer. I want to have everything on my side. I keep her in line. Now, over the years, of course, that stuff is not as important anymore, Jeff. I'll tell you something. Once you reach different layers of your relationship, that woman will love you and you will love her.
Course.
And it's a very
that's
special.
when the reproductive relationship is over. So at this point, you've had your children. I understand that then there's an attachment. But that is very different from the decision they make when you have 1 child or 2 child. At some point, when you become sterile after 40, it's yes, you're going to stay with whoever you had children with.
But do you think it's only because of convenience or there's something more?
I don't. I mean, yes, it's because of convenience. Because if it wasn't convenient, they wouldn't stay. I mean, down the line, it's because they're sterile. The reason they don't divorce you after 40 years when they've had 3 babies with you, it's because they're sterile. They have 0 value on the market.
Okay, je vais aller chicaner ma femme now. I'm gonna go get mad at her now because you're only staying here because you're sterile now. You can't have any more kids. Is that it?
It's not. Oh, so you're a romantic. You want true love.
Listen to me. It grows into that. What I'm trying to tell you and the young, well, my opinion, just like express my opinion, we start with how beautiful is she, how much does she bring. We start shallow. But we get past that as we mature. We get past that. Like we go through good times, hard times, we stuck together, we build a history. I can't download that history in another girl's brain. Like, you mean something to me. We have kids together. We raised them. We were a team. Something special happens. It's not, you can't put it in a test tube, JF. And you know what? Here's the thing. I'm assuming you're a materialist philosopher,
I am.
but there is more to the world than chemistry and physics.
I object. We
Okay,
can
well,
make a whole debate about
one
it
day.
another
Yeah,
day.
I agree. Let's take a rain check on that. There is more to the world than chemistry and physics, and there's no question about it, Jeff. There's no question about it. And I can't wait to it. The hard problem of consciousness will go deep into the rabbit hole on a different subject. It might not get a lot of views, but it will be a good conversation, I think, and it will be fun to do, I'm sure. With that, JF, I want to thank you, man. I've held you for 2 hours and over 2 hours and 23 minutes from what I see. Thank you very much, Jeff. I know we went on a lot of tangents. I hope everybody benefited from this, and I hope it helps diffuse anybody doing anything crazy and violent. I'm sure you feel the same, right, Jeff?
Absolutely. I think it was a very enjoyable conversation, and much respect to your work in martial art. I am a big admirer, and you do a great stream here. That people have been talking to me about your streaming and saying that you were an open guy with very intelligent positions, and I am very impressed.
Amazing, man. Thank you. I appreciate it. And if obviously you're a very intelligent guy as well, and you have a lot of insight, and you know this kind of like culture very well, and you've commented on in the past, and you know how these guys think. So I really appreciate you enlightening me and teaching me and helping me out. And one day we'll talk about chemistry and physics and see, is that the end all be all? Is it beneficial to think like that or not? Whatever, etc. I think it could be a very interesting podcast. I want to thank you very much, guys. Thank you all for tuning in, and we'll see you all in the next episode.